Welcome to the Ascension of the Chessman podcast. I am your host, Andre Mitty. Today's guest is a truth seeker, researcher of ancient history, and co-host of Rising from the Ashes podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, hobbits and fairies, give a warm welcome back to homie Romy. How we doing, brother?
Hey, buddy. How are you, man?
Doing great, brother. It's already shaping up to be a good show. We're having a great talk before we even hit record, so that's usually a good sign.
Oh yeah, No, we're fueled up, everybody. We were going pretty deep, and we're like, dude, we should let's go. Let's
Yeah,
let's
let's do
get
the damn thing.
let's share the juice, man. And yeah. So how's everything going for you, brother?
It's been going great, man. I definitely been feeling overwhelmed in the last couple months, and I feel like I was getting burnt out a little bit, and
Mm,
you know, bypassing the self care that was necessary. And
oof.
these last couple weeks here, I've really made that a priority. So I'm really doing a lot better now and feeling great at this moment. So I really am grateful to have came full circle through that trials and tribulations I went through in my personal life. So
Jeez, man. Yeah, it's no joke, dude. Once the snowball starts rolling down the hill, it gets bigger, and
yeah,
you're like, when is this gonna end?
right.
There's mountains aren't all steep, they got the flat surfaces, but yeah, it's energy is an interesting thing, and talking to I'm not a super adept on astrology by any means, or zodiacal understanding,
Hmm.
but I surround myself with people who do know these things because I find it
Right.
to be very important. And I'm talking real astrology. I'm talking, you know the what our ancient ancestors were trying to understand about these cycles.
Yeah.
And then you start to look at your personal chart and its correlations to what's going on. And there's I
It's all
think it's really
connected.
important. It's all connected, but it's like it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it
You
is.
have to fucking be like, if you really want to like get down and understand energy, like it's almost like a sense of
It's like a full-time
clar
job.
yeah, oh, exactly. But I was saying like clairvoyance. Like
Mm.
clairvoyants are able to, tap into. That's another huge interest of mine, is the rise of spiritualism, which was you know
Blavatsky.
Blavatsky
Yep,
was
yep,
right in
yep.
that time period,
Oh
no
yeah.
doubt, dude. Yeah, HPV. One of my. Oh, actually, funny enough, I'll bring this up. This is a great rabbit hole for you and anybody listening to go down. If you are a fan of HPB, I was just reading uh, PBR. Paschal Beverly Randolph, who was
Mm.
um, who was
Heard
a
of heard of him.
Yeah, PB Randolph is next level, dude. His book Seership is really good at seership,
Write that down.
SEERSHIP, and he goes into because I on our YouTube series, I'm doing this deep dive into the ancient history of mirrors and mirrors, um,
Mm.
all the way up into modernity. And we just released last night our most recent episode, um, where we talk a lot about the spiritualist movement, the seances, the rise of optics, telescopes,
Mm.
lasers as mirrors or a window or glass and mirrors as lasers
Yep.
during the Renaissance period and shit like that. And
There's a whole
it,
chapter in Cannabis, Magical Herbs, and the Occult by Chris Bennett on
yeah.
smoke and mirrors and how it tied in with cannabis and his theories on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, enlighten me, please. I've never
And
read Liber
alchemy.
420.
Yeah, dude, it's a fabulous book. I just remember that chapter. I would have to go back and touch on it, but I was just pointing you in that direction. That'd be a great book to source from in that material, because there's
Dude,
a wealth of knowledge in that book on cannabis, but specifically smoke and mirrors and alchemy.
oh, fucking rad. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, because I had like debated buying it multiple times, but I was just like, is it gonna give me anything,
Dude,
that I don't already know? But
I
Fucking
compared
Chris
it to,
Bennett is tight.
dude, I messaged him. I'm like, this is reminding me of Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manley. And I'm like, damn, dude, you really went all out with this. It was like 800 pages. Took me a while to finish it, but
Did he
I had to read
did
it
he hit you
before I had him
back?
on. Yeah. Yeah. I had him on the show and it
Oh,
was a
you
great
had him on the
episode.
show?
Yeah.
I tried to hit him up.
Yeah, dude, read his
Damn.
book. Message him on Facebook. I'll edit that part
Nice.
out.
Yeah, I think I hit him up. I think I hit him up and he was just like, fuck you or something. And I was like, damn, all right. No, I'm just kidding. But something along those lines.
No, he's a good dude.
So the back to the mirrors and PB Randolph,
Yeah.
so the book Seership is also subtitled The Magnetic Mirror.
Mm,
And so they were doing all these practices with clairvoyancy, mediumship, and using mirrors. There's this thing called a psychomantium where they would have multiple mirrors set up facing each other and you would sit and focus in on the mirror. And the concept really is that, using mirrors for this purpose dates back millennia. Like
mm.
it's huge, like ancient, absolutely no doubt. What I can say without speculating is in ancient Mesoamerica, they used scrying mirrors, black obsidian mirrors that were finely
Yes, that's
polished.
what he was talking about. Yes.
Yes, yes. And
Yes.
so what they would do is they would have these, and this ties into John Dee, like we were talking about. John Dee is famous to have this scrying mirror that was stolen from an ancient
Mm,
Mexican temple, and by the conquistadors. And then that conquistadorian ship was, this is allegedly one of the stories, because there's actually multiple stories on how John Dee got this mirror. And
mm,
then there's other stories that say that the mirror the British Museum has isn't actually or wasn't ever a scrying mirror of John Dee. It could potentially be just a relic to resemble a
mm.
scrying mirror that could be something that John Dee had, because his house um, was ransacked many times.
I'm sure.
you
Yeah.
know, like he left to go to Prague with Edward Kelly for like 6 years, and he left his house on more like, and he was known as being one of the biggest book collection owners in all of Europe, or England at least, and with like 9,000 books or some shit like that. And so he comes back
Holy
after being
shit.
in Prague for 6 years and noticed that his house was ransacked, and was just like, yeah, dude, I mean, you're living
Fuck.
in the fucking 1600s and you
Right.
left your entire house with all your relics in it, crystal balls and your 9,000 books of like ancient alchemical transcripts. Like,
Oh
maybe
yeah.
pay a fucking, someone to stay there and not steal all your shit. Anyways, back to PB
Right.
fucking Randolph and the mirrors. So I found his book and I found his work through A Magnetic Mirror Seership, which is a great book. I love it. I love his style. And what PB's really cool because, he was black. He was a
Oh, I
black
didn't know that.
clairvoyant. Yeah. And
Wow.
that's where it comes in, and which makes his writing even cooler, because I was like, oh dude, this guy's a racist. He keeps just saying Negro like left and right, and I'm like, okay, guy, here we go, classic,
Right.
but later after research I found out that it was, he had more credibility to throw the term around.
Mm.
And him and HPB actually had a relationship, not like a sexual relationship, but they knew each other,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
but they had beef. There was like some beef there, and because there's this talk that potentially Helena Blavatsky was, I just said Helena, that's awesome, that she was potentially racist, all these
Yeah.
things, bro. I
Great,
mean, I
great white brotherhood. Yeah.
so I like, it kind of
Right
makes a
there.
little more sense, because he also might have been slightly, just a little bit sexist, just by reading his text. I try not to like judge too much about what they're
Right.
like, if
It's
they
all
were.
perspective too, based on the time period,
That's also
and cultural
very
norms.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that, because that's something I often try to remind other people when we're having these kinds of conversations, like,
Right.
like,
It's like it's so shocking today, but it's like, dude,
this is
put
the way it
yourself in
was.
their shoes. Yeah,
Yes.
back
Yeah.
then.
Very important. You know, when you're looking at history, you have to try to leave your time period. You have to
Yeah.
engulf yourself in
Mm.
what it must be like. And when you do, that's where it gets fun. That's where
Yeah.
you start to have downloads, revelations. That's where your intuition, if the collective consciousness is a real thing, if this ethereal net and internet of, an eternal information is real and our electrical bodies are able to tap into that, well, then it makes it more fun because you're going to be able to actually pull up information, pull up answers from this time period if you're doing all of the things correctly. Now, that's where talking again about clairvoyancy and mediumship is all about. When you read the book Magnetic Mirror Seership by P.B. Randolph, he goes into he gives you a manuscript of how to access these energies.
Oh.
You take your chair, you put wax seals on the bottom of your chair. You don't want to be grounded, right? A lot of people think you need to be grounded in order to connect, but you're not
Mm.
connecting to the ground energy. What are you connecting to?
Mm. The sun energy.
The ether,
Right. Right.
the
The
sun energy, the
right.
ether, right? The
Right.
air, it's same shit, bro.
Right.
You
Right.
know, uh, it's all there, but the grounding energy and the water energy, like that's different. You're not connecting to that. You're connecting to the sun
Mm.
and the air energy and the ether. So like your table would have like you'd have wax there, you'd have some sort of something lifting it off, and everything would just have a little bit off the ground. And now you bring magnets into it. Now, because another interest of mine besides mirrors, so these mini series we're working on is going to be, I thought would be a cool concept to do uh, these items that people have in their household, on the daily, or that they know in their life and our lives. Because growing up in America, nothing is, magical, right? Magic is nothing but,
Right. Rabbit
revelation
out
of
the hat.
yeah, right?
Right.
Which is just such a fucking flip. It's such a flip. It's
Right.
hilarious because you go back to, and that's what the presentation is going to be all about,
Mm.
is that everybody in the royal fucking house, the queens of England, the kings, they were into magic and they used
Oh yeah.
divination, and so it's just like you fucking like 200 years later, it's like, why are they covering up this? Well, maybe they're using divination even more
Right.
with quantum computing, with heightened, even higher technology, with maybe some more, supposedly we're not in such a high plasmid state coming through our planet, but maybe we are. Maybe this is a golden period, and we're being told it's not a golden period. When I look outside, it's gold as fuck, dude.
Yeah. Sure
So,
feels that way.
it's not the dark ages, bro. I'll tell you that. And
Nope.
I think, when people talk about simulation theory, I mean, I try to say this, okay? Yeah, this simulation, society itself. Now, society is man-made.
Right.
Society isn't made by the earth.
Mm.
That's cosmic simulation.
Two
There's a
separate
cosmic
things.
simulation. They're separate, bro.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we might be in the dark ages in society, but I
Right.
don't think that the planets is going through that. So there's this kind of sense of manipulation there.
Yeah, totally, man. I totally echo what you're saying there about all that. And I also wanted to add, just how you hit on astrology earlier and how pivotal it is to, adding a tool to our tool belt and just understanding what's really going on here. I mean, look at the farmer's almanac. Farmers relied on that for centuries to grow their crops and know when to harvest. And, they were tuned in with the whole sky clock analogy and having the sundial out to tell
Yeah.
time. And,
Yeah.
it was all connected. And who's the famous banker that said, uh, 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 millionaires
JP
don't
Morgan.
use, yeah, JP Morgan,
I forget. Sorry.
millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do, and it just shows you like they themselves are telling you like, yeah, this is legitimate. This is, what we're using. I know it's culturally thought like it's woo woo. And I guess in the new age, which Blavatsky kind of started way back then, but to see where it is now, and how much of a popular topic zodiacs and astrology are, in the modern day, despite how they are talked about. Oh, let me read my horoscope for today versus like see how much of a role this played throughout all of time and all of history. And that was the original story. It was looking up at the stars and let's make stories and fables about it. Let's personify it and make it become real. Because if you didn't have shit to entertain yourselves, how else would you create by being mind blown looking at the star line at night with no light pollution like we have today?
Fuck yeah, dude.
It's crazy to think about. Talk about putting yourself in other people's shoes in different time periods. I can't even imagine that, bro.
Yeah, it's a tough one because with everything like here in our atmosphere clouding it up, like
Yeah,
we're only seeing a fraction of it. And I mean, depending on where you're at though, you get some good ones. I don't know if you've ever been down to Joshua Tree, California.
I have not. I've heard it's beautiful.
Dude, that was the first place I ever looked through a telescope, and it was so like we were just there visiting, and we were leaving, and they have this observatory there, and they were like Saturn viewing, and I was like,
Mm,
holy shit, tight. This is in October, and it was like the last week where because Saturn's only in that sky for I think half the year, maybe just a few months out of the year, and it goes away for the winter, and it
yeah.
comes back, and it's like here for the summer. And so they had all these telescopes set up. I'd never looked through a telescope before. And I was like, oh fuck yeah. And we go in line, look through the telescope, and it was so clear and clean. I asked the guy, I was like, is there a sticker on the other end of this? Am I looking at a sticker through this telescope? Because it's such a clean picture of
Mm,
what I've always saw Saturn as is, through like imagery or whatever. And so I was just
right.
like, holy shit. And yeah, that's Joshua Tree, man. And besides that, is just it's magical, but the entire desert's magical. I forget where you're located. I know you're in Central Time.
Nebraska.
Nebraska, dude, you gotta have some good stars up there, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh
Out in the country, you can see
yeah,
everything. Yeah, it's
yeah, man.
beautiful.
Shit, I dated a Nebraskan once, man. It's
Hard
pretty
times.
cool.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah,
uh
the Nebraskan people, they get a bad rap, but I wouldn't say so. I guess people just call it a flyover state, but like they always say the people here in Nebraska nice, like they're just
mhm.
nice people. They're the
Yeah.
type of people that'll pull over and help you if you got a flat tire, where most hustle and bustle cities, on the coast are more like, yeah, fuck you. Like,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
just gonna go right around you and get to where I'm going. You know, more
I f-
self-driven in other places.
it's ridiculous, man. I have a knack for picking up roadkill. I
Mm,
used to pick it up and skin them and keep the hides back in the day when I was doing more like buck tanning and things like that. But
yeah.
now it's just if I see it, like 'cause, there's just so much roadkill uh lately. Like I don't know if it's just I'm noticing it more because I'm making more of an act to move it. But when I see an animal in the middle of the road and you are seeing multiple cars pass by it,
Yeah.
no one's doing anything, they're swerving to miss it, which is like great, that's awesome. I'm glad you're not mutilating the body more on there. But, like where is the respect
Mm,
for our family? These animals are part of our tribe.
yeah.
They're part of our community. And like
Mm,
we are supposed to be fucking shepherds. And these
right.
fucking assholes are not who the fuck first of all ran it over. I bet this is what was going through their mind, bro. They're like they hit this raccoon and they freak out. They're like, oh my God, oh my God. What was that? Was that a human? Oh my God, I hope I didn't kill somebody. Oh, it's just a raccoon. Oh my God, am I okay? They check everybody. You guys
Right.
okay? Like, yeah, we're fine. You just ran over a tiny animal. And then that entire day, maybe that entire week, they start telling everybody about the raccoon that they ran over and how crazy of an experience it was. Whilst that body sits in the middle of the road, rotting by the California fucking sun, getting rigor mortis with zero respect for its life. Okay. Well, I understand, right? Raccoons go through people's trash. Well, why do we have so much fucking trash in the first
Right.
place? Why do you put so much fucking food scraps in your trash, dude? Like, maybe you should just put it outside in a bucket so these
Yeah.
guys can just eat food.
Or put it in
God
your
forbid.
compost pile, like actually
Yeah.
use it for a good purpose.
Like,
Right.
yeah, dude.
Common
Like,
sense.
Jesus. So
Yeah.
if you see roadkill, this is what makes me believe in the whole fucking celestial code even more. So I love traveling with my dog, and you know, like when I see these animals, I pick them up. But I'm obsessed with birds, and I love feathers, and I collect feathers.
Mhm.
And
Same.
you know, dude, it's amazing. And then let me ask you this: as a feather collector, once you start getting them, do they start showing up more?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I've seen them more when I was landscaping. Because I did landscaping for 10 years and we would find them all the time. And me and my coworker Corey, we would put them in this hat we'd keep
Nice.
on the fucking dash of the band, and we had like a whole rainbow of different feathers by the end of the year, and it was a beautiful thing, man. I always seen it as like a sign of some way. And I always see crows and ravens a lot. I feel like they're one of my spiritual helpers, I guess you could say. But yeah, it brings me to, I do sweat lodge here locally with the natives locally here. And, it's a super big privilege to get to do that, being Caucasian and everything. But, they've told me how they handle roadkill. And, every time they see it, they get out and, do a special ceremony for it and, give it the proper burial and all that. So, they say a prayer
Dude,
for it.
nice.
It's a
Fuck yeah.
powerful thing, man. So to hear you say that, that's amazing, man. And I think it speaks to your character as a human being, and just the compassion you have for others.
I mean, dude, I'm blessed to, I guess, just be, you know, a compassionate person. I was raised by a great mother, you know, and so
Mm,
like um, and it was just me and mom. It was a single mother, you know, and like we bond and like we have an amazing relationship. We have, in fact, taken acid together, even.
fuck yeah. The
Yeah.
ultimate bonding experience.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Someday
She
I'll cross that off the list.
Dude, you know how it wasn't planned? Like, we went camping and, like, I just had it, and, like, this is my major psychedelic phase and, experimental phase, I'll say,
Yeah.
and, I had some, we were camping, I didn't even like, I just had it, you know, I had some tabs in my pocket, and then,
Nice.
like, I was just like, it was the middle of the day, I was like, "Mom, I got," you know, "I got I got this acid." She's like, butane? Like, what kinda, like, carcinogenic acid? And I'm like, "LSD?" And she's like I was like she was like I was like
Let's
and
do
we
it.
were like, "Let's do it," you know? And I
Hell
was like,
yeah.
"We'll just cut him in half." Dude, we fucking talked in the tent until, like,
Fuck
2
yeah.
in the morning, dude, it was insane. Now my mom uses psychedelic mushrooms on a microdose level, and she
For
gets her
depression and stuff.
friends
Yeah.
dude, well, just in general, my mom's a very
Overall health.
spiritual she's
Hell yeah.
very spiritual, like, I definitely know where I get a lot of my spiritual awareness because
Fuck yeah.
she's a limelight for the women in her community. She has
Mm,
always worked with women. She's worked with drug addicts for a long time
wow.
because we have a lot of like hardcore drug addicts in our family. And
Mm,
so it's always been a dedication to her. I don't even
fuck
know if
yeah.
she knows it. I think she just knows she does what she knows and what she's used to, and she's always
Right.
taken care of her sisters. So but she in that sense is like there's you know we talk about like just stripping ego stuff together and just all these things and it's just like that's a healthy relationship to have with your parents and I
Oh
know
yeah.
not everybody can be lucky enough to do that but
Yeah.
at least fucking try it and don't ever give up because there's people you can give up on your entire life and I'm not speaking for every situation like I know everybody's situation but even if you have a terrible relationship with your parents and they may have been like alcoholics or distant because of their trauma and that's not okay for them to have not stepping up to the fucking plate with you and for you you
Mm,
know but it's not that fucking easy and even though there are parents it's like Yeah, like we gotta cut them a little bit of fucking slack, dude, and be the limelight in their life and pick up
Mm,
their fucking slack and
yeah.
be their inspiration. There's got to be a table turn where you're the inspiration for your parents and you
Yeah.
fucking say, I'm here for you. Let me fucking parent you because I know what's going on because I'm fucking younger than you. See that,
Right. Right.
you're older,
That's the
you know a lot
paradox
of
of it. Yeah.
it is a paradox because they'll be like, well, I've been on this earth longer than you. Like, you got
Right.
your dad
Right.
with his chewing tobacco and his fucking
Yeah.
Bud Light. Fuck you, kid. I've been here longer than
Yeah. Baby boomer mentality.
and it's just like, bro, but
Dude, that totally resonates, dude. Holy fuck. I've been telling people I've felt like I've been parenting my parents for the last couple of years, and I just turned 30, dude. I'm like, this is a little too
nice.
early. I wasn't expecting it this soon, but I totally see what you mean, and I agree, man. I think we are more tech savvy and just more well equipped in this modern world to like be able to figure out what's going on here, not to like put us on some pedestal or something, but it is humbling to like take a step back and like you have your parents asking you questions or like how'd you come to this or whatever it is, and that's real, man. So respect on that. I agree.
91,
92.
92.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm born 91. I just turned 30 this year as well.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah, you
Dude.
must be just a little bit older. I'm a
Yeah,
Taurus, May baby.
Taurus. Oh,
Yeah.
nice, dude. May baby. Oh man. Oh wait, so May so okay. Oh, Boinkin and your parents were sorry for any disrespect, but Boinkin in September or December, huh? Might have been like on Christmas Eve or something like that.
Must have been.
Oh wait, that's only 6 months. Oh wait. Oh, my math is terrible, dude. Oh my god, I'm such an idiot. Okay. Can I share screen?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's do it. Is there any more stuff that we can get going out of the way, or anything that you want to do before we jump into this slideshow?
I am good to go, bro. I'm just happy to have you here and happy to have this discussion. So I'm ready to get to it
Awesome, dude. Okay, well, jump in anytime, obviously,
for sure.
and fucking say your pointers, say what things resonate with you, and anything that you can help broaden this research, and that goes for any of the audience as well. Like, if any of this stuff, if you research the Renaissance period or history in general, or hey, even electric universe, Saturnian cosmology, please fucking reach out. Like, I am hopefully going to make this into some sort of book at some point. With zero writing experience except for fucking some like poetry slams, growing up.
Mm,
The concept of even writing a book is very intimidating,
yeah.
but I think that, when you look at all these, figures of the past, you're like, seems like everybody was writing books.
Yeah.
It was like a thing to like write books. If you knew anything about whatever you were interested in, you would just write a book about it. And
Yeah.
so, it's just like we work together and yeah,
Dude,
hit me up,
trying to fathom, you know, the books that Manly P. Hall or Rudolf Steiner or some of these authors is just like mind blowing, dude. It's like, how'd you have the time to cram all that into one life? Like, it really speaks to we got to fucking raise the bar and like we got to hold ourselves to a higher standard, man.
Oh,
And
yeah, man.
that's inspiring to hear you say that because I know it's in the cards someday and I'm going to write a book, but why say someday? Like the time is ticking.
That's it, man. Like I notice I do that myself. We have been catered, especially people in our age bracket, bro. Like we were
Oh
talking about
yeah.
this a little bit before we started. Right after World War II, that whole major gnosis flood, that information flood, this decimation
Yeah.
of the old world ways to create and set forth the new world order
Yeah.
was that, like, that's what the fucking wars were about.
Right.
And whether or not, the Nazis were the only one really holding down this appreciation for ancient occult information. Like, they had the ancient occult manuscripts and they were the only ones, or is it we were all in it fucking together, and it was a for show, and for the show to create what, the fucking mess we find ourselves in now. But you look at how the transgression of those times went, 50s into the 60s into the 70s, and now we reach ourselves into the 80s now.
Mm.
Massive corporate overlords,
Oh yeah.
massive marketing, massive use of color coding in psychological
Greed is good. The Wall
greed
Street
is
movie came out. That was the
oh
first time that was said.
dude, the
For
80s.
lack of a better words, greed is good. No, it's not. I'm sorry.
Dude, like, it's so fucking bad. And then so the 90s were kind of the same.
Yeah.
And so for us, you know, yeah, we have to fucking raise the bar, dude, because we're dwindling. We're letting everything get taken care of for ourselves, and we're not taking care of anything. But
Mm.
I will say your audiences, because they're amazing, inquisitive people. To
Right.
listen to your show means that they're taking steps and strides into something different, because
Mm.
they know that there's something more. And
Yeah.
you as well, like, obviously, like, doing a podcast, this is doing something.
Yeah.
Every episode is a fucking it's kind of like a little book.
Yeah, it
It's that
is.
much documented information. It's there, it's out there, dude. Like, boom, you published it.
I'm working on not being so fucking hard on myself, man. It's like I'm
Yeah,
doing the
man.
best I can, you know?
Lighten up, dude.
Yeah.
Jeez. You're doing great, brother.
Likewise, brother. Thank you.
Of course, man. So, the presentation here today, everybody, is this research topic called Antiquated Transhumanism.
Mm.
Now, when I discovered transhumanism and the transhumanist movement a few years back, it's hard to even say what year that was now, when I first heard about transhumanism. Uh, I have always kind of had this, like, beef with technology. As a musician and a lover of music, I
Yeah.
would not listen to any electronic music for years. I said if it had a keyboard in it, I wouldn't even listen to it.
Mm.
It was just the three-piece, or the six guitar players and the five drummers. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
just shredding, and like, going to Warp Tour and skating and stuff and all that.
Yeah.
And then, you get into hip hop, and then that's just all computer music, and then you just find yourself being like, okay, well, open up a little bit, bud.
Yeah.
And then you start to be like, well, maybe technology itself, electricity and other, forms of resonance have been around for forever. And I
Mm.
love our ancestors. I don't necessarily vibe with the forefathers of America per se, but even that is changing. As I just got the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. I'm
Mm.
not saying I respect Ben Franklin at all. I think they were into some crazy cipheric stuff,
Right.
mad ciphers, dude. Like, even I was like, I love, God, dude, I can go on so many fucking side tangents, but Francis Bacon, uh,
Mm.
and his book New Atlantis is
I need to read
it's
that.
about, dude, it's good. I mean, it's definitely alchemically coded. This
Right.
the
All of his work, all
all of his
his works. Yeah.
ciphers, the
Yep.
Baconian cipher. If anybody listening hasn't looked up the Baconian cipher mysteries, I mean,
I
well,
mean,
you'll
shit, the
start.
guy was probably Shakespeare, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, you'll start with the Shakespeare stuff, and then his own writings that were 100% Francis Bacon. But
Mhm.
Manly P. Hall, now, he led me down a fucking rabbit hole with that. It got
Yeah.
me really interested in it, because he has this theory in one of his books. I can't remember which one. Oh no, it was in his. He had the All Seeing Eye, which is a weekly newspaper that was going out. He had a
Okay.
weekly newspaper
Yeah.
and a occult esoteric weekly newspaper from 1925 into, I think they did it all the way up into the 80s, dude, or whatever. I think he passed away in the early 90s.
Damn.
And so I have a bunch of these copies of those works, and in it I was reading all of because he would write an article a week, right? It would be an ongoing article each week, which was really fucking cool because it's like, okay, we're gonna put the Baconian ciphers or the Shakespeare mystery each week into this. So you just read it, and it's cool how they made the paper flow. I really
Mhm.
suggest people, if you are interested in Manly P. Hall's work, check out the All Seeing Eye series. It's really cool. And in that, he proposed that Francis Bacon was, in fact, not from the Bacon family line, who they say that he was, who were just basically normal. He's not connected to Roger Bacon, which I feel is a lie.
Mm.
Even if it's just a pseudonym to be a homage to Roger Bacon, who was a huge alchemist and an original wizard of England. That's on his Wikipedia page. You can check that out. And so Manly P. Hall speculates that he was the bastard son of Queen Elizabeth I, and that he was in this time, like King James was like, or James was about to become King James I, and there was this huge feud between John Dee and King James I. Did not like him. He did not like him because King James was all about Christianity and the Protestant Reformation, and John Dee was out here creating, Enochian magic and talking to angels. And well, John Dee was heavily religious as well, but there was just all these fucking spiritual battles going on all the way back then. And Francis Bacon was a student of John Dee. He worked with him, uh, and Francis Bacon has, in some circles, has ties to, you know creating the Rosicrucian movement, or being a very huge proponent in the Rosicrucian movement, as well as the Freemasonry movement. Um,
Nice.
and anyway, so not to get too fucking sidetracked, but
You're
Manly
good.
P. Hall speculates that Queen Elizabeth I had a bastard son, and that could have been Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon could be a pseudonym for Roger Bacon, in my opinion. Now, that's my theory. And I say
Mm.
Roger Bacon because when you start to look up Roger Bacon, a lot of times you will see Bacon, and then somewhere along the line, you'll see Franciscan, because
Mm.
he was a Franciscan, he was a
Mm.
Franciscan. And so,
Franciscan monk. Yeah.
yeah, right. He was a Franciscan monk. So you see Roger Bacon, Franciscan, and these guys are writing. Started with John Dee, who created their own alphabet. They created their own language, the Enochian
Wow.
language. So, and then you start to think about, okay, well, they're creating ciphers, they're creating all these mystical texts. They want to be mystical. They
Yeah.
want to be mystical. And when you go into Rosicrucianism, what happens? Do you know? When you get initiated,
Tell me.
you have to have a name. You get a name.
Mm.
So I had Phoenix Aurelius on the show. That's
Hmm.
not his real name. That's his Rosicrucian name that he got when he joined the Rosicrucians.
Wow.
And so Francis Bacon is probably the original, like, pseudonym or Rosicrucian name of that. And so for the world stage, he's Francis Bacon. But in reality, he may have been the bastard son of Queen Elizabeth I. And that's why he had
It's
access to all
crazy.
this higher knowledge and John Dee and shit, right? I
That
mean,
makes sense. That holds a lot of weight. Connecting all those dots. I mean, shit.
that's the thing, man, is like, now we're in the computer digital age,
Right.
and
We
we
can go
are,
back and look.
dude, we're lucky, bro. Like, that's what I'm
Right.
saying. We're in a
Right.
golden age. We're in a golden age period. And
Age
there's
of
people,
information.
there's people manipulating it,
Yep.
but on the same sense, you know, like, they're losing their fucking grip, dude. Like,
Yep. You can
there's
still find
more.
it if you dig hard enough, long enough. You'll find
Yeah.
it.
And man, you got to get friends with hackers. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that on here. I just should not have said that. Damn it. Okay. We got to cipherically code
Yeah,
that in somehow.
I love Phoenix, by the way. He was one of my first guests in the first 30 some episodes. Great
Oh,
guy.
nice.
Yeah.
Dude, yes, super great guy. We fucking apparently his shop in Portland, his like Spagiric shop was right on Mississippi Avenue.
Mm,
He had it open during the time I was living there. I grew up in Southwest Washington, and Portland, Oregon is right on the border of Washington.
yeah.
Like a lot of people don't know that you can just throw a rock and you'll be in Washington. And I grew up
Wow.
on the Washington border. So when I tell people, I'll just be like, I'll just tell them I'm from Portland because that's where we go like to the nearest city. It was the nearest
Mm.
city. And so when I go back home, like when I was I did try to do like stand-up comedy for a little bit. I was trying to like maybe do entertainment,
I could
you
see it.
know. I mean, dude,
You're
I
always
definitely
cracking me up, man.
thanks,
Gotta give
thanks,
it to you.
man. Thanks. I definitely I had an hour-long set somewhere on YouTube at the Funhouse
Damn.
Lounge. Yeah, Funhouse Lounge. But dude, I was 19 and like I was out of my fucking mind. I'll tell you that, bro. I
That's
had this
impressive
theory.
though, dude. 5 minutes is tough, let alone fucking 60. That's no
I
joke.
had I had a well, it was 45 minutes. I apologize. But I had a writer that
Still.
helped me. I met this really old black man at the bus stop, and he was like 65 and hilarious. And he had this just sense of humor that was so funny. But we started vibing out, and he brought me up to his, he was renting out this like attic room at this house in Portland. It was just right down the road because we were at a
Mm.
bus stop that was, close to both of our homes. And he's just like, man, you want to be funny? He's like, what would be funny? I'm like, what's that? He's like, if you had your finger and your finger was a character and he would come out and he'd move all around and be Mr. Wiggles. And I'm like, Mr. Wiggles, huh? I was like, all right. And then so I started talking to my finger on stage, and like
Oh,
getting
that's great.
beat up, and like I was very theatrical, like I'd fall on the ground. But I had this other theory in comedy that now over 10 years later, I'm like, I don't necessarily know if this was right. I was fucking 19, but I had this theory where words were just words and they didn't mean anything, right?
Mm.
So I could say, okay, I wanted to be really vulgar. That was like my excuse to just be as gross as humanly possible. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to offend anybody and discredit any of my current research or anything. I want to let you guys know I was a kid when I said things like, I, I'm not even gonna say it because it's
You're
so
good.
gross. I'm
Don't
not.
feel
I,
obligated.
yeah, I'm not. But anyways, it was really bad. Like I would say some
Yeah.
things that disgusted some people because I wanted to.
That's
I
how you
wanted to
gauge the
make.
crowd,
I wanted to. Well, yeah, you gauge them for sure. I don't know if you engage with them because they're like, "Who the fuck is this creep?"
Yeah.
But I wanted to be as creepy and weird as possible. But
You
after
got to
I
get
met
them on your
him,
side first. That's the key.
yeah, yeah, people were telling me like other comedians that had been doing it for a while. They're like, usually you gotta like work your way up to shit like that. I was like, no, dude,
No, I'm going right for the one
right for the
shot.
gold, man, right for the gold. I fucking yeah, I did, and so I tried to do film stuff as well because I've always liked theatrics. I like narrating, I like reading, I
Mm.
like just being weird, man, because
Yeah.
the weirder I get it to be, the more comfortable I end up feeling,
Fuck yeah,
initially.
dude.
Right?
That's
Same
how
for
we're
you,
supposed to be.
right? Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, dude. I like I said, I said earlier about being hard on myself, and I'm learning to like not care what other people think as far as be as weird as fucking possible. Like, what are you holding back for? It's like, oh, someone might be watching me, or someone might care if I like do this, and it's like, no one gives a fuck. But it's
Yeah.
like that insecure voice inside of us that holds us back sometimes.
You think PB Randolph thought he gave a fuck about people when he was holding magnets up to his head next to three mirrors on wax seals on his chair,
Fuck
talking to
no.
spirits?
Fuck no.
Yeah.
Despite all the pushback at that time, my God.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's like now, 100+ years later, we're looking at his work, this fucking weirdo. And
Right.
no, also I didn't mention this earlier. He is the OG with sex magic, way before Crowley. Well, I don't know, way before,
Right.
but
Right.
Crowley got into, I think, Randolph's work, and so
I
that's
think you're
that's
right.
cool.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard that. Yeah.
he's the OG sex magician. Uh, Interesting guy. Dude. There's so many interesting characters to talk about. The smoke and mirrors thing.
Hmm.
Oh shit, I wonder if I have this tab. Dude, let me fucking just read this thing to you real quick.
You're good. Yeah.
uh let me
Yeah.
try
I'll
to
quit
find
cutting
it.
you off. I just need to let you go.
Oh no, you're dude. Cut me off, dude. I love it. I love it. My ass will just fucking talk all day, dude. It's ridiculous. Especially when I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good right now, brother. So I appreciate you. Let's see here. I'll find this guy. Oh, I can go to haha. So during our mirror episode the other day,
Hmm.
we had a 6-person panel, and
Nice.
I had like 50 slides ready to go. And it was like we didn't even get through half of them, because we were just
Right.
riffing on all this stuff. And it
Right.
was like so now I have this whole fucking half of a presentation on mirrored reality.
Fuck yeah.
But this character, since we brought up smoke and mirrors, right here. Okay, we're going
Yes.
here. Dude, this character is hilarious.
Yes. Now it's coming back to me. Yeah, I'm a visual person, man. Once you get an image in front of me, that's when it's like my memory comes back.
So I don't know if you post this, if you're gonna post this video or not, but
Yeah, I'll
this.
repost it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So then, if you're watching this, everybody, you see here, this is one of the inventions of the kind of stage illusionist. Mediums would say to summon ghosts, but they needed this type of technology. That's a really cool kind of, hidden part about this history. And it's not even necessarily hidden. It's just not, people just don't give a fuck. But people were
Right.
just making things, like this is normal for people just to make shit like this, man, to write books, to make things, to try
Right.
experiments, like that's what people were fucking doing. So
Fuck yeah.
here he is. This is this interesting character I was talking about,
Hmm.
Johann George Schrofer. Johann George Schrofer coined the concept of smoke and mirrors as a common feature of stage magic. In the 19th century phantasmagoria shows, the illusion technique traditionally uses a magic lantern or an image projector and a light source to cast onto a conjured smoke in thin air to portray illusions of the flotation, existence, and disappearance of objects. Now, let's get into his Masonic and necromantic sessions. Schroepfer had most likely never experienced a Freemason lodge meeting when he started his own lodge of true Masonry. Nonetheless, he claimed to be the sole person with knowledge of the real secrets of Masonry. And to be able to communicate with the spirit world, he also claimed to be in touch with the true Masons in England. When asked about this, they wrote in reply, Mr. Schroepfer is totally unknown in our Grand Lodge, and indeed he has been lately represented to us from Berlin as a very trifling and ridiculous person, not worthy of any of our notice or countenance. Or, the fuck is that word? Countenance. He is thought to have gained most of his knowledge about Masonry from magazines, books, and from listening to many Freemason patrons he waited on, who spoke quite freely about their Freemason secrets, plans, and activities. He reportedly stole some magical documents and Freemason scriptures of Duke Van Holsten Gottorp during the 7 Years' War. And why I thought the 7 Years' War was significant here is because we're talking about the rise of smoke and mirrors and optics and mirrors and glass. Well, there's the concept of 7 years of bad luck when you break a mirror, you know, and this mirrored reality. If you smash the mirror, of the overlords, you might find yourself in a 7 years war. And so we learned more about magic from a merchant in Frankfurt. This merchant would have also supported him financially and brought him into contact with Freemasons in Braunschweig. By the end of 1771, he had very good contacts with rich nobility and Catholic monasteries near the borders of Bohemia and Silesia. He performed magical works in Sarajevo and Poland before the Masons in Leipzig even knew about him. For a typical night of necromantic activity, Schroepfer's followers would fast for 24 hours and were served an Italian salad, possibly drugged, and much punch before the midnight start of seances in a darkened room with black draped altar. A
Definitely drug,
robed
not possibly.
No, definitely drugged. Absolutely,
Yep.
dude. Like Arrowhead for days.
Yep.
A robed Schroepfer performed the rituals and demanded his followers to remain seated to a table or face terrible dangers if they did not. He made use of a mixture of Masonic, Catholic, and Kabbalistic symbolism, including skulls and chalk circles on the floor, holy water, incense, and crucifixes. He started with a long prayer that addressed Jesus Christ and the Holy Trinity, asking for the protection of good spirits. He usually raised three different ghosts: one good soul and beautiful white, one neutral, subdued white, and one evil and awful brown and black. The arrival of ghosts was mostly accompanied by a sound like that of wet fingers on glass, which sometimes grew louder and could continue for an hour. The spiriti rays were said to be clearly visible with recognizable features, hovering in the air with their arms crossed in front of their chest. They seemed to be vaporous and not made of flesh, and at times they seemed to be terribly screaming. Viewers agreed that these spirits were Gaelic in origin, as their shrieks were reminiscent of ravings in those unfortunate sufferings of the French disease. Ghosts could answer his questions and their voices sounded hollow. Apparitions reportedly raised by Schroepfer over the years included Frederick the Wise, August the Third, the beheaded Danish traitors Johann Frederick Struensee and Enevold Brandt, with their heads in their hands, Count Bruhl, Maurice de Saxe, and the Knights Templar last Grand Master Jacques de Molay. During a seance and dressed in Trepfer ordered a spirit to bring a letter to a companion in Frankfurt. The spirit obeyed and returned half an hour later with the answer signed in Frankfurt by the companion. Another spirit appeared engulfed in flames, begging Schroepfer not to torture him so. Apart from raising ghosts, Schroepfer also demonstrated his powers by making a star shine much brighter at his command and raising a storm in the forest.
Wow.
Fucking, that's the smoke and mirrors guy.
Wow. Yeah,
Trip out.
I definitely remember reading some of that in that chapter I was mentioning earlier. So you're bringing all this to the surface for me. That's, dude. Yeah, I was fucking mind blown by that, all that, and just how they would use these contraptions to, create the illusion of spirits in the room, and people would be all freaked out, and they would come to these shows. Like, that was the original movie theater, dude. Like,
Dude,
we were going to
right?
seances. We weren't going to Hollywood movies, sitting eating popcorn.
And you look at horror movies, man, it's the same kind
Right.
of concept. I think you're totally right, actually. Wow, what a trip to think about.
Yeah.
And
The
you,
Black
you
Mirror.
think, yeah, man, dude, we didn't even get into the technology part. Like, we wanted to, there's going to be uh, another dive on that. Maybe you'd like to
Fuck yeah.
come on for the next big chat we do, because it'll be
Yeah.
more. I want to do I want to do just the Black Mirror episode where it is only about like phones and computers and shit, because and TVs, because we've done so much of the historical side of it. It's like, okay, let's get to the now. Okay, what we're dealing with currently
Right.
um and shit. So if you're interested, I'd love to have you on, because I know you got some heat on the transhumanist movement.
Totally, dude. Yeah, I watched that documentary in high school, I believe it was, which would have been back 2010, 2011. Ray Kurzweil's The Transcendent Man, which was all about the future of technology and all his predictions. Dude, As far as transhumanism, go back and watch that documentary. That shit'll blow your mind.
If you want to send that to me on Telegram, dude, I would love
100%.
that. I would
100%.
love that. There's no way I'm gonna remember that now because I sometimes black out during podcasts because we're just going so hammy in Miami. Uh,
Miami, I love it.
dude, it's as fucking nuts. Okay, so let's do it, man. I like to give this is my first writing for the book. And it gives a little bit more of a background on the antiquated transhumanism, and then we'll blast through this since uh we'll get through it since we've been going for about an hour now already.
Oh yeah.
Okay, here we go, everybody. Antiquated transhumanism. You know, as a conscious existing being, we're actually pretty simple. Yes, the muck in our minds can cloud up the streamlined connection to our resonating frequency that we naturally attune to by the society we choose to live in and the choices that we make. Speaking in the modern reality and seemingly almost any time period, we're limited, quote unquote, by our technology, or at least we're told so. The argument being presented here is that the ancestral line that we've been fed through history is in and out of complete truths, like a sine wave, pulsing over and under a streamline of fictitious understanding of time. And time itself is not linear, thus, it does grow and evolve. Egregorically, the invention of time reading devices, sundials, swatches, and clocks, show us this by their cylindrical design. So, this theorem consists of a broad intuitive understanding and willingness to be open that our planet, this realm, and our bodies are electrically attuned and attached. And the source field, if you will, this thick goop that allows us to connect when the operator of our conductive bodies is ready to turn on and tune in. And at the same time, I want to paint a visual of how this idea can be viewed from an aerial position. Philosophically speaking, of course, like a lab study, a cosmic lab, Earth is the vessel, sterilized and controlled environment. Humans are the electron in the lipid solution, controlling the charge. Whether very high or low, we allow the vibrational movement to be essentially attuned to the observer or the controller of the experiment. And there are astrological cycles that can be observed through the lens of rayology, a special science that energy permeates and seemingly fluxes the human experience from the cosmos and our consciousness altogether. Okay, the lab experiment is done and we're getting back to the good stuff. We're living in a very electrical environment, and this general understanding is not well adept in our mainstream society, but known in the areas of serious science and esoteric science and philosophy, potentially for centuries. Now, somewhere along the line, seemingly between the 14th and 19th century, they recognize, and this in the Protestant Reformation, the biggest cover up of history through the invention of things like the modern alphabet as we know it, modern English, and modern science. During this period, some people allude to calling them physical mud floods, but I call them information or gnosis mud floods. This major age of indoctrination had and astutely been groundhogging the truest of spiritual knowledges and the sacred sciences. Granted, you needed an initiatory process to be able to access these during antiquated times. But now, history as we know it, it is so muddy. There's so much gross judgment being cast by people who have been affected by the massive occulted spells. It makes looking into these topics more difficult by the day. But ooh, that being said, there are multiple forms of initiation and multiple truths. Yes, multiple and sometimes convoluted truths. There are initiations to secret societies, book clubs, sports teams, relationships, even. There's also a cosmic and a conscious initiation that is just as long of a process depending on your abilities. This is available to all, esoteric by nature, and this is called meditation, tapping in, letting go. Akashic records, a genealogical remembrance, intuition, initiation from within yourself to access the hallways and the deep underground versions of our higher selves that is in tune with all of the elemental forces, in which there are 7, 4 exoteric and 3 esoteric from a theosophical standpoint, potentially more, as new discoveries are being made in every moment. So, with antiquated transhumanism, we will look at history through a different and more spiritualist lens. What they were wearing, using these tools and equipment as a form of technology, expanding and grounding deep, magical, and godlike vibrations.
Wow. That was that was unbelievable, brother. Very well written. I'm impressed. Just some initial thoughts. Just how much that's missing from our culture now. I mean, yeah, we have the unconscious initiation, but to have a conscious initiation of just, becoming a man when you're 12, 13, and seeing that in other cultures, and how far that goes back. And I also loved how you hit on the metaphor of the mud floods rather than the physical mud floods and what that entails. So I can't wait to get into this, brother.
No, nice, dude. And you're so right, dude. Like this, what it seems like, and this is speculation, but what becoming a man is now is more to do with sex.
Yep.
Like, hey, oh, how many bitches are you fucking, as you're a kid? And like
Yeah.
that is what being a kid is, and being a man is like how many, but when you look at these, indigenous cultures and more spiritual places, that is so far from the the spiritual journey. And it's an issue in my opinion. And yeah,
Like,
I will.
for example, I read in Africa, there was a tribe in Africa that when the kid was 12, I believe, they would take him away from his mom for a year and a half, and they would have these elders sit in a circle, and they would all pierce their skin and draw blood into this bowl, and the boy would drink it at the end of the initiation. And that was his becoming a man ceremony. Like, he was completely removed from, being overly mothered by his mother and surrounded by men to, embrace that masculine side of him that he was, transitioning into.
Oh, wow. That is super gnarly and super awesome, dude.
Yeah, fucking it sounds crazy. And here's the thing, dude. Like, even you mentioned the camping trip with your mom earlier. Like, that's a taboo thing, but most people don't realize like plant medicines were like the backbone of cultures like for centuries, dude. And like that was the initiation, was like having these journeys with your loved ones and having this initiation come through. Just
Dude,
my theories.
no, no, absolutely. I mean, bro, undoubtedly, right? And I mean, you've you've done enough homework and research to have a credible opinion. Absolutely, no doubt. Like you've talked to a lot of great people. Your insights are amazing. You're coming from non-biased, opinions. So I love all your insights, dude. And I agree. And what's interesting is, well, what isn't interesting, right? Like
Right.
when I
Really.
think I think people like you and me, like we just find everything interesting. And
Right.
so there's like nothing that doesn't blow our minds. We're like, oh my God, it's connected. So um
Yep.
but I've been studying also the fucking voodoo or vodun uh or hoodoo, right? Like there's
Right.
hoodoo I think is more Cuban.
Mhm.
um but vodun comes from Africa. It was the original religion. I wouldn't say the original. It's one. It was the religion that was being practiced when the slaves were taken and brought into Cuba and brought into Jamaica for sugar cane fielding, which is just a travesty. Um,
Mhm.
but anyways, I was getting into looking that up and really getting into the concept of black magic. Now, I mean black magic. I mean magic from black people and not white people,
Mm,
right? And so I was thinking, I was like, well, you know, especially in the Western world, there's white magic and there's black magic. One's good and one's bad.
right.
Well, just, you know, look at how the Western view is on white people and black people. One's good, one's bad.
Dude, there's a rap song by Absol. I forget the feminine artist in it, but she says, I always, there's a lyric in it that says, I always thought the term black magic was kind of racist. And
Dude,
that,
really?
that always, that got me thinking once I heard that lyric, I'm like, maybe it is. Like, I've never thought about that, because we are so ingrained to think it's evil by nature, like dark night, sun, light, it's like, it's just so polar opposite, and it's interesting to ponder that you bring that up. So didn't mean to cut you off once again.
No, you're good. I love it. I love that. Like, awesome. Because Absol is a fucking amazing artist. So I'm definitely
Fuck
gonna
yeah.
check out that link too. Uh, but you're right, because it's like black magic, what people would consider black magic in Western circles and Western magical circles, blood work, necromancy,
Right.
like the concept, the voodoo doll, which was used in Europe for many, many ages, before ever even coming to Louisiana.
Mm,
Um, they these were stolen. These were stolen ideas, and they were originally used in places like Africa. But they were
mm,
doing these magical practices that were so esoteric. Now we're completely on speculation. I'm not speaking from too well researched of it. I've only shallowly researched some of
mm.
this. Um, but this was my kind of takeaway from like looking up. This was the breakthrough revelation I had that made me be like, holy shit, I got to put a pin in this and come back later. But that the magics were being hijacked from some sort of hierarchical power. And so, like the invention of churches and the Protestant Reformation, which is a very interesting time period, super boring and super, it's not boring, it's just so dense to try to fucking cipher through it all. There's just too many characters and there's so many people who want a political fucking power.
Mm.
But the invention of the church state and the Vatican and everything, they would demonize all these other magics, anything
Yep.
pagan, right? But then again, those were what was esoterically being practiced in those circles. Those churches
Yep.
at a high enough level were taking all of those manuscripts, taking all those practices and using them and then calling them evil
Yep.
on the exoteric level. And so when you think about things like what you said about the initiatory process with, drinking blood,
Right.
that's the kind of thing that they fucking do at a high
Crazy.
enough level in Western orders. Read the books by Fulcanelli, read alchemical books. And
Yep.
when you get to the part where they are clearly referencing needing to use human blood in alchemical processes, in an underground basement, because that's where the alchemist labs were in cathedrals, were underground.
Right.
Always underground. That's the whole fucking part of it. And dude, blood is real. And so I think that the original magic, I think a lot of original things came out of Egypt, Africa, Asia. I think all of it's been hijacked,
Yeah.
switched and swapped around to make it look like it came from the cool esotericist from or the occultic practitioners of the Western world in Europe.
Yeah.
But
Bullshit. I agree
bull
with you.
fucking shit,
Yeah, I
bull
agree.
fucking shit. And what the fuck was I getting at with that too?
They just wanted the credit for it once they saw how good it was.
For everything,
Yep.
even
Yep.
now, they
So
just
true.
want the fucking credit. They just want the credit.
Completely and complete inversion is what it is for on all levels, dude. It's so
Mm,
crazy.
wow, yeah.
Complete inversion.
But we're working on popping that inversion bubble too. So we'll get
Yeah,
around
we're in
to
the
it.
process.
So I might not even have to go through this too much because I think your audience is very familiar with what transhumanism is. But the first few slides in this presentation is, just about transhumanism. It kind of just has a very basic and general overlay of the concepts of transhumanism in modernity. Well, Transhumanism is a movement that aims to use technology to enhance intellect and physiology and psychological abilities. This can be anything from brain implants, bionic eyes, stem cell tech, and exoskeleton bodysuits. Transhumanism is a class of philosophies of life that seeks the continuation and acceleration of the evolution of intelligent life beyond its currently human form and human limitations by means of science and technology, guided by life-promoting principles and values. It's by Max Moore, 1990. You know, geometric breakdown of that is it's scary. You got the MM there,
Mm,
Max Moore. It's a pseudonym for
yeah.
this guy, possibly Rosicrucian pseudonym, but this is Max Moore. He's Max all the way out, this guy. This is a long one. I'm going to read that. So, you know, they want to enhance their consciousness. They want to connect their
Yep.
consciousness to a cloud
They
and
think
to the eternal information, right?
they, I've always heard they think the intellect is God, as the Masonic belief. And, I think that says it all right there.
But that's the thing. That's human centric.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I because I can resonate with that in a way, like
Right.
I
I
kind
know.
of can
I know.
resonate with it,
I know.
but it's too
Simplified
narrow. It's
almost.
too simplified. It's too narrow.
Yeah.
Humans are not the center of the universe. It's a
Right.
very human centric view of the entire
Hmm.
cosmos. Like,
Right.
get the
Right.
fuck out of here. But that might be the
True.
exoteric side of it,
True.
which is all we're gonna get about transhumanism is what they want you to hear because it goes deep. I mean, these are the richest corporations and the richest people in tech that are rolling this paradigm, and they can scrub the internet of whatever they want. So this, they say that secret societies don't exist anymore because they can't, because of the internet.
Mm, so true, brother.
But they can and they do
Right.
because they fucking change and they morph
Yep.
into the new version of it. So it's the even more secret, bro. So
Mm,
it's not what secret societies were, where you could fucking just go into the basement of the cathedrals and hold crazy fucking practices, dude.
right.
But it's different. And like, Jesus fucking Christ, I live 45 minutes away from Bohemian Grove in Santa Rosa.
Have you been there?
No, not yet.
Dude,
Not
you should
yet.
go. You should go. That's not far at all. Come on, bro.
I know,
I
dude.
went to the Georgia Guidestones like 4 years ago. It was pretty trippy.
Dude, you're stoked
Yeah, dude. So
to
when
be
that
there
happened,
before. I'll never
yeah,
get to go. Like, I'll never get
I
to
know.
go.
No one will
Damn.
if they haven't been there yet. Yeah. No,
Did you take
before
some
we,
pics?
yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it was crazy, dude. Dude, my honest to God belief, like when we were driving there, because we were on our way to Florida, we took a long detour to go out of the way to see it. And I talked my dad into it. And on my way there, I was seriously thinking, like, we're gonna get there and it's not even gonna exist. Like, this is just something somebody's like, making a big fable on the internet about, and they're just running with it. And we got there, dude, and it was surreal because it was out in the middle of fucking nowhere, like literally in the middle of nowhere in Georgia. And that's why it was so strange to me because, like, you see it in documentaries and you watch stuff about it, and you're like, okay, but seeing it is a whole different thing, dude. And it was surreal as fuck. And to have the recent events, yeah. But enough about that. Before we get it too far, I wanted to ask, like, what was the significance of the underground aspect to it? If you don't mind getting into that, or if you were planning on getting to that later, that's cool too.
Oh, of alchemy,
Of
the cathedrals.
yeah, like being underneath the cathedrals, because that
Oh,
is the
bro.
common thread that they're always done underground. So
Yeah.
what's your theory on that?
Yeah. I do also. I'm very interested in Georgia Guidestones too. So let's put a pin in that as well.
Oh yeah, we
Um,
can talk about that too, but I just wanted to get that covered before I forgot about it.
Oh, of course, I appreciate that. So, and I respect that view because it's deep,
Yeah,
and it definitely goes deep. So,
literally.
this yes, um, literally and physically. So, fucking bro, like, there's 2 parts to this. There's the antiquated transhumanism, which is getting your body geared up, getting the technology you need in order to have your electrical body moving, your consciousness, your aura, everything vibrating at a very high frequency.
Mm,
Now, the other part of it is the resonance architecture, which is making a big splash in like the Tartaria realm and everything, right? Free energy uh architecture, right? And all these things. Star forts, old cathedrals, castles, and whatnot.
mhm.
And that's the other half of it. I have a whole other 100 slide presentation on the architecture. But first, we need to, that the concept was to get this down. Anyways, but I will get into it though right now because it's fucking very interesting. So the I mean, here we go again with exoteric and esoteric. There are 2 forms and rhymes and reasons of the cathedrals. Now, they were all built on sacred sites and ley lines, especially in certain places in Europe. They would be built in such proximity of each other. The basilicas that had these huge, beautiful organs that were tuned to specific frequencies, hertz, megahertz, and resonances.
Mm,
And they had the bells. And now you look at a lot of these bell towers across the world, and there's
yeah.
no bells in them anymore. They don't ring, and there's no bells in them. Some of them do, but most of them actually were taken out. And you look at the cracked Liberty Bell on the founding of America as the New World Order gets taken over, and you wonder, so who took the bells out of the bell towers? Who stopped the resonance? Who stopped the tonal frequency and the healing frequencies, the communication between the living and breathing cities? Because our ancient ancestors built with purpose,
Mm,
and true masonry was to have purpose of
mm,
structure. And I think they put in the footings for what we would consider these new secret societies now that are all tech driven and etheric driven. Now that the groundwork has all been done and there's all these places to live for these people, then you're not going to see these massive amounts of architecture going up to create a message or a purpose or to ground in some sort of etherical energy because all of the sacred sites are already determined, they've been mapped. Now it's on to the next stage and phase, which is like the quantum computing and transhumanism. And so the these buildings in these towns, they were built to resonate with each other. And so they would use these things called dowsing rods, which are this very old, you can't even really trace back the true lineage of them, but they go all the way back. Even Moses was said to have a divining rod or a dowsing rod in the Bible. But a dowsing rod is a split twig or a specific piece of a branch that they would hold in their hands like this, and they would walk and they would hold it loosely. And when there would be a mineral mine or a water mine underneath, the stick would start to spin.
wow.
And that's why they have dowsers. Look up dowsing rods and divining rods, and it's a great rabbit hole. So that's how they would mark these sacred sites when they would rock across the lands. Supposedly, there's another theory to that is that it's this theory called syncretism, and syncretism is the concept is it the concept of stacking cultures on each other, which here we
Mm,
go again with the mud flood theory and concept.
right.
So a lot of people speculate that there's a secret society or some sort of hierarchical power. It might be the Freemasons or the Rosicrucians or obviously the Templars, that would go to these sacred sites, go to these countries, find what they consider to be sacred sites and holy lands, test the magnetism and the free and the resonance there, and then they would build on top of that. That's another theory of how they found the sacred sites and would build the cathedrals on top of these sacred sites, doing that as marking grounds.
Mm.
because there's always markers. Some people say obelisk markers or monoliths and things. But yeah, there's many markers. So when you if you start to really look at cathedrals and look at these old architectural buildings, you will see that there's like statues or figures, often called reliefs. They call them reliefs, which I don't know why they call them reliefs, but that's what like a statue can be called, as a relief, like a bas relief, BAS relief. It's just an old word for statue or engraving, and you'll see all these different things. Um, you'll see a bunch of stuff, and they can be just rams, lions. They can be all these statues, or they can have a deeper meaning and a message about the story of that building and that land and that area. And that's what Fulcanelli goes into in his book, The Mystery of the Cathedrals, which is written in the early 1900s. It's now a chemical text. Fulcanelli is also a pseudonym. Yet again, we're finding ourselves a pattern here that in history, people used pseudonyms because, well, another theory that I have is there's archetypal cosmic code, where you ever notice where people have a name and they generally just slip into this path that kind of makes sense for their name.
Mm.
Like you're like, what? Like you're like, oh, you seem like a Chad, like you're a Chad for sure. Like some Chad is like just he's a Chad, which I hate that, because Chad Stumkey is a great friend and author researcher. And we're starting a sideshow together, so I hate using that word Chad. But it's like a thing that was
I know
online
a
for a
lot of
while hanging.
chats.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, Nebraska Chads, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh God. Uh,
Dude, I
but
was just gonna say,
yeah.
that's everything you're saying is just reminding me of the Capitol building here in Lincoln. And there was theories that that's where Hitler was gonna make the capital of the world, was Lincoln, Nebraska, based on its location. And it's this big obelisk, and it's got a seed sower on the top, and it's got a golden dome on the top with a seed sower throwing out seeds on the very top, that's I think made of bronze or iron. I'm not sure, but I've also heard rumors that there's been security guards that work at the Capitol that have seen people walking in the basement in robes after hours.
Nice.
So, and there is a Scottish Rite temple. Literally like a block from the Capitol building. So they say there's tunnels underground as well
Oh,
to
dude,
connect the two.
okay, so let's go into these Capitol buildings.
Yeah.
Totally. They correlate. You can just basically go from the cathedrals and that concept to what the new cathedrals were of America in the New World, which were the Capitol buildings. They're all the same.
Right.
They all have the same type of architecture. Every state has a capitol, and they all have a golden top. They all
Mm.
have the round rotunda. Now, what they use these rotundas for is for death ceremonial purposes on an exoteric level. I will say that. We'll get into the esoteric here in a second. But
Right.
what they'll do, what's his name? Not Biden. Oh God, what the fuck was his name? A few years back, he had a
President.
I don't know if he was president or who. Come on, I've talked about it before. He had a huge funeral. They flew his casket from Texas to Washington D.C. as well.
George Bush, George H.W.
No, it's more recent. It starts with an M. Politician starts with an M. He might be a Mormon as well.
No, Mitt Romney didn't
No,
pass.
it's not Mitt Romney. Fuck. Hmm.
I don't know why I'm
So
blanking too.
I gotta look it up now, because it'll help a lot with this story here. Okay, here I'll go like this.
Was he white?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm blanking.
President. Sorry, I'm seeing if I can find it really quick, and then yeah, it's certainly not Mitt Romney. But they did the same thing for Lincoln as well, and it's a practice that they do, and it goes back to some ceremonies that they would hold in ancient Spain with the rotundas, because there's a certain time when the rotunda itself was used. In architecture, it's a specific time frame. I mean, the cathedrals were not necessarily rotunda, so you see this kind of mix of, which is syncretism in a sense. The stacking of cultures of the uh, of the Capitol buildings, but they were built very spiritually purposed, and it's called "Who Have Lain in State of Honor." So here's just I'll say the word for like the 30th fucking time, an exoteric view of the state of this process. So since Henry Clay in 1852, the U.S. Capitol has been used as a place to pay tribute to the nation's most distinguished citizens. Made available for public viewing in the Capitol, persons who have lain in state traditionally have been American officials, judges, military leaders, including 12 presidents in 1998, to recognize 2 Capitol police officers who died in the line of duty. Congress granted the use of the rotunda for their caskets to lie in honor. They do have a list here. John McCain. That was it.
Oh, duh. Yeah. I forgot that
Sorry.
was pretty recent.
Yeah. Sorry about that. That's
You're
so
good.
the John McCain ceremony was like supremely occulted out, dude.
Yeah.
And so what the concept is that spirit moves in a circle, right?
Mhm.
It flows in a circle. And what spirits can do and energy can do is they can get trapped in the corners. They'll get trapped in the corners in the boxes. And that's why they call this new style of architecture prison cells, bro, because we're in these boxes and ghosts can just get trapped in there.
Mm.
There's no flow of
Yeah.
spirit. So one story that I like to tell is the Henry Flagler story. And did this deep dive on Florida with Juan and Thomas and Gabe. And I went to Florida. My name my name in gematria is every single way Gator. Roman and Gator are the same in every single breakdown.
Damn.
And so I went to Florida and I had a very spiritual experience, and I had a lot of downloads. So I started looking up the history of Florida, and I was like, oh my God, this is occult as fuck. Henry Flagler was the business partner and right hand man of um, the Rockefeller family when they started the Standard Oil Company. Henry Flagler was actually John D. Rockefeller's like mentor in a sense, because he was about 10 years older than him.
Mm.
Or so. He was definitely older. I can't say 10. People always harp on you for fucking being so exact with all this fucking shit that we're trying to remember.
Right.
It's like he was
Look it
older.
up. We got
Look at
technology now.
yeah. And so he was rich. He was one of the richest people in the world. After the Standard Oil Company went through, and Florida at this time in Americans' history was not quite developed. It was one of the most underdeveloped states in the South, because, it's got the Everglades, it's got swamps, it's got just, super muggy, super hot. And no one had really claimed Florida yet. It was a very indigenous land.
Mm.
And he had a mission to take all of his oil money and basically build Florida and build the western peninsula of the Florida. And what he did is he built this huge, magnificent train line. That was the first one to run all the way from New York down to Florida, and just one single track line. And how could he do it? Oh, well, he owned all of the oil in the country, so he was able to pay for his railroads to be bought. So he started a railroad company. all these things. The other thing that he was building all throughout Florida were these really fancy and extravagant hotels that all the rich people could come and get away in Florida. Now, he started basically the whole retire in Florida thing. You're welcome, everybody. Basically, the Rockefeller family. I mean, Henry Flagler was fucking. You consider those people family. When you make millions of dollars with somebody for fucking years, you guys are brothers. You know what I
Oh
mean? In the
yeah.
line of duty. So he's
Right.
basically a fucking Rockefeller. Anyways, bro. So he has this place called the Ponce de Leon, which in Spanish means the fountain of youth. It was
Mm.
also a navigator. They were coming over here looking for the fountain of youth. Well, that's the kind of the concept of Florida, in the sense of like, you go there when you're old, so you can, get the sun, get the salt, everything, and have the fountain of youth and live forever. Well, these buildings, the Ponce
That's
de Leon
crazy.
was the
That's crazy you mentioned that, dude. Your mind's gonna be blown. My cousin-in-law, well, he's my cousin now, but he's a Ponce de Leon and he works for Google. And his
what?
family ties back to that. Yeah.
Whoa, dude, have you talked to him? Does he know about his
uh
family shit?
yeah, I mean, I heard talk of it when I was growing up, like it was a huge deal, but I haven't like circled back and like looked into it like you are now. So that's synchronistic as fuck. You brought that up.
Wow. Yeah, we're going all around here, dude. But I'm tying it back right here. Okay,
Yeah,
so the
yeah.
Ponce de Leon has this huge rotunda. He paid for
Mm.
these This is the first building he built in Florida, by the way. Magnificent. Tiffany stained windows. Now, Tiffany, look up Tiffany stained glass. It's a whole thing. He put stained glass, the best stained glass since the early days of the cathedral building, in all of the fucking very important places. All of the richest places, he put all of the Tiffany stained glass in, including the Rockefeller family places on um, Jekyll Island. So, he had Tiffany stained glass in there. He sent his architects off to Europe to get trained at the most prestigious architectural and sacred science and art college in Europe. So they came back, they built this
Wow.
fucking lavish hotel, and this hotel had light bulbs installed by Thomas Edison, supposedly, and was the first building in America to have electricity in every single room of the hotel. Now, granted, this is in a very, very early 1900s.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and dude, like I was saying, is Henry Flagler. He started the Standard Oil Company, dude. Like, he was one of the richest people in the world. He was
Wow.
blowing millions of dollars, but he was also making money. He's probably
Right.
losing more than he was making, but he was still like getting money, even though he was retired
Hmm.
from the Standard Oil Company. Millions of dollars also in the early 20th century, dude.
Right.
You
God knows how
basically
much now.
no one
Yeah,
can
no one can
fucking
touch him.
stop you.
Yeah,
No one can
totally.
fucking stop you. Anyway, so he built this thing, and then after he had built the Panama Canal down and wanted to build all these railroads, he finally died after like fucking at a pretty old age. But he died at his place down in Palm Springs. And
Mm.
if you're a Floridian, you know about Flagler. He's got counties named after him, towns. He's the father of Miami. He founded Miami, founded Palm Springs, just basically founded Orlando. But he died in his house in Palm Springs, so he got brought back up to the Ponce de Leon, where he wanted to have a ceremony. He needed to have it there because he needed to have the procedure done in his rotunda, and he needed all the doors to be open. None of them can be closed because spirit moves in circles and needs to be free
Mm.
flow. There needs to be air so the spirit can leave and go into the ether, not be stuck here, because that's what they believe. That's what this is one of the richest people in the world. And he believed in spirit moving and going to somewhere else, and you can be stuck here because he knew
Wow.
secrets, he knew stories. And
Right.
so but the problem was, brother, is that someone shut the doors and the casket flips upside down and the lights shut off.
Holy
And
shit.
everybody's freaking out, like, what the fuck? Who shut the fucking doors? Apparently it was the gardener, didn't know that the The funeral was going on, right? And then, but now if you go to the Ponce de Leon, which by the way is a liberal arts college, it's not a hotel anymore. It is a private college for liberal arts, and it used to be a women's only. I think they've thus have made it all gender now,
Wow.
especially after the last few years with the gender stuff.
Yeah.
But there is this, and I went there and I seen it. I brought my recorder. I talked to people. It's very haunted in St. Augustine, Florida. It's like like they have haunted tours in St. Augustine, and it's on there. It's being super fucking haunted. And I can get into that why it's fucking haunted too. But there's a tile on the floor with this face in it, and that's said to be the face of Henry Flagler after his funeral when that happened. And they just say that the janitor was cleaning that night and he noticed this tile on the floor looked different than normal. And he's like, "What's that?" Goes down, checks it out. He's like, "Oh, it's Henry Flagler's face." Just keeps mopping or whatever, like that's how the story is. But
Wow.
Henry Flagler's wives, he had 3 wives in his life. They all died. Well, 2 of them died. The third one outlived him. The middle one, Ida Alice Shroud Flagler, was super into, you guessed it, spiritualism and seances.
Mm.
So since she was not very famous in the New York scene where they were, they retreated down to Florida where she could be the queen of the scene. And they built this lavish hotel where they were holding seances on the 4th floor, which is now shut off to students. Students cannot go on the 4th floor. They've said to be a hanging woman in the 4th floor because Ida Alice Shroud had been brought into a mental facility because she was crazy. And Henry Flagler was like, "Bitch, I ain't got no time for none of your shit." But then he sent her off there. But what was he doing? He was sleeping around
Mm.
out of the mental institution and is coming to the hotel to do her queenly duties on her okay. Ponce de Leon wasn't the only huge lavish building they built in that area. They built like a bunch of other ones. So like Henry Flagler just moves to Florida and just starts building all these fucking super lavish fucking pieces of architecture. He owns it. Like it's just like, this is my town. And then there's a bunch of rich people around. So she wanted to go back to her scene. Well, he shoved the woman in the room because he knew that Ida Alice was coming back. She ended up hanging herself in that room. And dude, it was a psychomantium, like we talked about earlier. In this movement of the spiritualists and the seances, they would have all these mirrors around. And so that's why um, it is believed that there are so many spirits in that building and all in St. Augustine is because there was so much of this seance work going on there that it just stayed. Because what happens in the concept and theories of mirrors is that it traps spirits. It's a portal for spirits. So
Mm.
if you have people dying in rooms where it's set up to enter spirits, like if you're sitting in a room and you want spirits to come in and summon them, do you believe that they're passing through those mirrors? If you die in that room where you are channeling spirits, what the fuck's gonna happen to your spirit, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's
So
fucking crazy, dude.
it's crazy. All this shit is fucking nuts. I mean, this is
That's
Johnny
mind blowing.
Rockefeller, bro, basically. And it's
Right.
like, who really closed the doors on his funeral?
Mm.
Might have been Ida, might have been one of his fucking wives. Because this
Right.
is years after they passed away. He'd already, because he was Orlando's up here, or sorry, my
Right.
camera's over here. Orlando's up here, and he died way down here. This is fucking 40 years later, and so they were like, "You're staying with us, you son of a, you ain't going
Yeah.
nowhere." So
The
I
succubus
believe that
got him.
Ida Alice Shroud. For real, dude. No, man. And so you go there, and I highly suggest people go check out St. Augustine. It's got a star fort.
That's crazy,
Um,
dude.
dude, it's a crazy town, man. Jesus Christ.
Gematria
Okay.
is nuts too. Just the fact that Gematria led you to Florida, in a sense, because I've had some crazy life events come out of the Gematria calculator as well.
Oh,
Like,
really? Oh, wow.
yeah,
Go in on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I was just using my name in Gematria now, just my first name. I usually do my full name or my full
Mm-hmm.
name calculated, use different phrases. But yeah, I've been obsessed with that for years. And I remember one night, I still can't figure out what I typed in to get this result, but one of the results, I think it was like my full name, and I had some wordings before it or after, but the result was Chief Little Raven of the Arapaho, which I named my cat after. And there's a statue in Colorado I went to go see of it. But I had a past life regression done last year, and it was a friend of mine I met at an ayahuasca retreat that did it. And the one that came up for me that was the most mind blowing was I was this black woman in Virginia. Well, it was like Virginia, North Carolina, roughly in that area. And
Nice.
uh, my dad, I guess he was like, I don't know if he was my biological father or not, but he was a native chief named Monteo. And sure enough, I look up the next day, and well, in that past life, we there was this little girl we rescued from this village that was getting ransacked and pillaged. And I look up the next day on Wikipedia. I just type in Monteo, and sure enough, he was the first native to be baptized in the Church of England, and he settled in Virginia, which was where I had never
Oh
heard
shit.
of this guy, dude, and I was like fucking mind blown. And
Wow.
he baptized this girl named Virginia in the Church of England, and I believe she was the first settler to be baptized or something like that. But it was just a crazy synchronicity that all stemmed
Nuts.
from because my name in Gematria, Andre, is Raleigh, like Raleigh, North Carolina, which is in that same
Oh,
area as well. Yeah,
that's that name archetype shit I was talking about, dude.
yeah, dude.
We did this. I love gematria too. I'm not an expert by any means, but I
Me neither.
I love it. I like the one that's usually not on. I use Gematrinator um, website just for quick results, but they don't
Yeah.
have septenary on there. But I like septenary. I like
Okay.
septenary and reduction. Septenary is just it's a cipher that goes into 7, and it's I just like it because there's so many things that tie to 7. Um, anyways, but I like all the gematria though too, and
Yeah.
it's fucking wild, bro. I mean, the fact that you found out all this information just through that, you just keep clicking buttons, like it just
Right.
shows you that there's a bigger thing at play. Like there's just something bigger,
Life is
and
fucking magical, man.
it's just so magical. God, I love it. So let's get into this. I think maybe we'll just do like another half an hour,
Yeah,
two and a
that's
half
fine, man.
hours.
I we
Okay.
keep going on tangents, but this is gonna be an epic podcast. So
I love it, dude.
I know the
Uh,
listeners will love it.
oh, good, good. We love you guys. Okay, so let's get into. Okay, here we are. So transhumanism itself, um, it actually stemmed from this period in history where we created humanism. Humanism needed to be extrapolated in order to bring education back into the people. It was a movement for the people, right?
Mhm.
Supposedly. But so what is humanism? Despite its simplistic name, it's a complex history and it held at high regard since its dawning in the 14th century. Essentially, it's a philosophy striving to optimize the human intellect. Though this is good in theory, eventually the concept dwindled from being available for laymen's, eventually was set aside for only the initiated. The concept itself has fully transmuted into what we call transhumanism. Renaissance humanism was a revival in the study of classical antiquity, at first in Italy and then spreading across Western Europe in the 14th, 15th, and 16th centuries. During the period, the term humanist, or umanista in Italian, referred to teachers and students of the humanities, known as the Studia Humanitis, which included grammar, rhetoric, history, poetry, moral philosophy. And it was not until the 19th century that this began to be called humanism instead of original humanities. And later, the retronym Renaissance humanism to distinguish it from later humanist developments. During the Renaissance period, most humanists were Christians, so their concern was to purify and renew Christianity, not to do away with it. Their vision was to return, to add fonts to the sources, simplicity of the New Testament, bypassing the complexities of the medieval theologies. Under the influence and aspiration of the classics, humanists developed a new rhetoric and learning. Some scholars also argue that humanism articulated new moral and civic perspectives, values offering guidance in life. Renaissance humanism was a response to what came later depicted as the Whig historians as the narrow pedantry associated with the medieval scholasticism. Humanists sought to create citizenry to able to speak and write of eloquence and clarity and thus be able to engaging in the civic life of their communities and persuading others to virtuous and prudent actions. Humanism was set up by a small elite who had access to books and education, was intended as a cultural mode to influence all of society. It was a program to revive the cultural legacy, the literary legacy, and moral philosophy of classical antiquity.
That's
So they're
good.
fucking snobs, basically.
Mm.
Uh, Exoterically speaking, humanist and transhumanism have a quality that ensure the best and highest optimization for humans, enhancing the psyche, memory, and knowledge, and even the physical attributes. But dig a bit deeper into the period in which humanism itself sprouted. Whilst looking at history with a lens, you see the connections of these occult practices being used by the higher classes and stamping a label on it to make it have a place in society. And expanding further onto transhumanism is the sentient across and through beyond world of humanism, so we can view it as a heightened version of modern magic sourced underneath the exoteric veil. That's transformation. Now, back to the Renaissance period time, the we're going to talk about the bourgeoisie class, the bourgeoisie. This is where the term bougie comes from. Now, this is just to show, you know, this is to show these classes that have always been there. And these people, like even the rise of spiritualism that we brought up before, the
Yeah.
people that were practicing spiritualism were what you might consider to be of the bourgeoisie class, you know, of a later century. The rich people are obsessed with magic because they think it'll bring them more success. So classism as an egregore or a mental archetype. Look at this fucking guy. I was like, this is a perfect example of bougie bourgeoisie, you
Yep.
know, class act guy is like, I am here in my cheetah print suit with my socks and my loafers. And I thus despise my lack of interest in anything but pastries, I don't know.
He's
Energetic.
not using that sword with those shoes on.
No, dude, look at those are ballet shoes, actually. I might rock those though. And what is this, a little pouch here?
Right.
Just hanging down by your knees?
That's got his
Weird.
drugs in it.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, bro, is um, people want to think that drugs are new,
Right. No.
but no, dude. Like they were using medicinal herbs and alcohol. Like they were getting fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Like they had a lot of drugs. A lot of drugs. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, fuck this one. So the bourgeoisie, we already talked about that. It's just rich people. Uh,
Yep.
there's nothing wrong with there's people who have good money and people that make good livings, and people who make a lot of money. Then there's rich people. you know?
Yep.
There's people who make millions of dollars and are awesome, and people who have great, six figure or not even six figure, whatever. A lot of money can be fucking 50,000, 40,000, $30,000 a year, depending on how you live,
Right.
But then there's rich people. It's different. It's a like I was saying in this slide, it's a egregore or a mental archetype.
Mhm.
It's not literally the amount of money. It is the class that you get put into is a fucking archetype. And that's what the bourgeoisie, because they want to be a part of the occult. They want the secrets. They want to be better, and they want to have the magic. Ooh, here we go. Both bourgeoisie and nobility, which is another type of class in antiquity, in the 15th and 16th centuries showed great fascination with the seven arts magicae, which exerted an exotic charm by their ascription to Arabic, Jewish, Romani, and Egyptian sources. So the seven arts magicae is the seven sacred arts of the Renaissance magic, which you can find a complete and whole Wikipedia page on. There's scholars who write only about the Renaissance magic. It is, let me see if I'm not going to butcher this. The seven sacred sciences of Renaissance magic is hydromancy, necromancy, pyromancy, aeromancy, s- scalpomancy, which I think is using a scalpel bone, palmistry, and there's one more I'm missing. Um, anyway, that's the seven
Interesting.
sacred arts. But like I was saying earlier, with which exerted an exotic charm by their ascription, meaning the source material, to Arabic, Jewish, Romani, and Egyptian sources, meaning where they got the Western idea of Renaissance magic was from these sources.
Right.
Egyptian is African shit, like we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
So there was a great uncertainty in distinguishing practices and vain superstition, blasphemous occultism, and perfectly sound scholarly knowledge or possible. Intellectual and spiritual tensions erupted in the modern witch craze, further reinforced by the turmoils of the Protestant Reformation, especially in Germany, England, and Scotland. The people during this time found that the existence of magic was something that could answer the questions they could not explain through science. To them, it was suggesting that while science may explain reason, magic could explain unreason.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Um, so
Oh,
yeah,
for
we're gonna
sure.
get in, dude. Yeah, we're gonna do this, and this just shows you, the elaborate crowns of the ancient Vedas
So
compared to
much
the
detail.
crowns.
My God.
So beautiful. I wish this text wasn't even covering this, to be honest. Um,
There it is.
yeah. So we are at the crown section. And this means, hold on one second. I'm gonna mute, or I'm not even gonna mute it. Doesn't matter. I'm opening this beverage
You're good.
because my mouth needs bubbles. Oh God, it's so good. It's so good. Oh, dry ginger ale. You gotta love it.
Gotta
So,
love it.
dude, I love bubbles, and if drinking like things like ginger ales and bubbly waters and bubbly mineral waters like help me not drink beer
Oh yeah.
because
Good for you, man.
I have this like yeah, I have this detrimental piece of shit tendency that like would just, s- guzzle down fucking beers if I fucking wanted to or could uh because it's just a strange human tendency to detriment ourselves, it's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, I like
Honestly.
NA beers if I have the urge.
Hmm. They're actually good.
They
I
are,
mean,
man.
some people are like, those are gross. I'm like, I don't know. They taste the same. So I don't
Literally
know.
the same.
Taste the
You
same, dude.
you give it to an alcoholic, dude. They couldn't tell the difference until they were like, why am I not feeling anything?
Yeah. Oh man, it's a serious problem, dude, alcoholism. But I'm not going to that here.
Yeah.
Even though these people were alchemists, made tincture, and tincture was only made in stills, right? So you look at all these alchemical texts and books and things, and the main lab equipment was a still. They used that
Mm,
to make the philosopher's stone. They used
right.
that to separate their salts and their oils, and they used it to make alcohol and to make the tinctures, because one of the mythos is that the philosopher's stone, once you made a stone, now it doesn't have to be the philosopher's stone, but you right now could get a still, go and get yourself a 1 gallon still, put your plants in it, separate out your essential oil, and keep the plant material. This is basic overview of alchemy. Just
Right.
just really quick overview of how you might be able to make your own stone. So you thus extract your juices. You got your oil over here, and then you take the plant material that you have in your basin, and now you're going to cook that down into a complete ash. And then you're going to take your oil and your ash from the plant material and mix them back together and start extracting it again, 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 and more until you come up with uh, this material that's going to harden into a stone.
Mm,
And, you know, much like the seed, which is a mirror of, you know, the all of its genetic material from its past lives, right? When you think about um think about reincarnation, man, like,
right.
you know, think about a plant. It's like, okay, I'm gonna grow, I'm gonna get these seeds. That plant's reincarnated time and time again with
Right.
the genetics and DNA mirrored of its ancestry. And so when you then take it a step further and you do this alchemical process, you're creating this, you know, even when you eat, you know, when you eat, you're intaking all of this information
Right.
from this living source, and it's getting passed through your body, which is doing this alchemical work, and you can actually intake information from these materials.
Mm,
If you are doing it right, you can make eating be really fucking spiritual, right?
right.
Which is a trip to think about. And so, anyways, you get the stone. Then what they would do would they would take the stone and then extract that in a tincture, and then that would be what they would drop with.
Mm.
So
That
that's one
reminds me
theory
of
of.
RSO.
Oh
Like
my god,
just the
yeah.
process of making RSO. And maybe if you took it steps further, you could create a stone.
Talk to Benjamin Bolison about that, man.
I will. Yeah. I need to get him
He's
back on.
Oh yeah, man. He's a good buddy. He only lives 2 hours away.
Yeah, he's
Um,
great, dude.
yeah, he's fucking wild. He's also going to be in San Francisco with us this weekend. I'm going to shout this out. Don't know when you're going to put it out, but if you put it
Yeah.
out
Tomorrow.
before, oh shit, tight. Uh, yeah, we're going to do a San Francisco meetup. It's called the Higher Side Meetup. It's from the Higher Side Chats with Greg.
Dope.
uh he has like this whole meetup site thing, which
Mm,
anybody can host a meetup anywhere. uh yeah, I suggest people do that because it's pretty fucking fun, and you can go, you know, on esoteric tours and all that shit. So if
yeah.
anybody lives in the Bay, lives in California, you guys want to meet up, we're gonna be there this weekend on the 6th. And yeah, fucking post a link or whatever. And also Sam Tripoli's going to be playing a comedy show, so we'll go see the show, go chill out at the fucking
Fuck yeah.
bar, walk around, and just do whatever, man.
That sounds
You
like a
know,
blast, man.
dude, I wish you were here,
Wish
brother.
I could join you.
Shit, man, it'd be awesome.
Fuck yeah. Have
Here's
fun.
just some fucking sweet alchemical text, you know. I love these art, dude. This art is like just fucking so much going on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. This is like the sun and the moon into the still with the eternal fire and the, you know, the prism down here. This hermeticism all around. Everything is mirrored, right? Or I
Right.
mean, all
As above, so
hermeticism is
below.
Exactly. Hermeticism is, it's all about transformation of the Kundalini genetic goodness, which
Mm,
is all mirror symbolism. It's all everything. It's this duality, correspondence, you know,
yeah.
communication, the back and forth, the Ouroboros. So terrible picture. So the crown. Another thing about alchemy, the first steps of alchemy is the crow's beak, putrefaction. Putrefaction is this where you get like the black muck. You're separating the compost, as they call it. So, and a lot of times they would call it the crow's nest.
Mm,
And when you get crowned king, you don't just go and automatically get the Globus Cruciger, the scepter, and the crown, right?
mm,
You get what tools you need, but you will always get crowned. It's a crowning ceremony. Also, when you're being birthed, it's initiatory too. You're being majorly initiated, obviously.
oh yeah.
Um, and there's much to say about the crown, but one of the interpretations to be crowned king or to be crowning is the cosmic birth or the transmutation to the initiation.
Mm,
So like you're crowning, birth, it's if you're you're not being born feet first, you're born with your crown first. Coming into the new world, you are being initiated. In alchemy, the crow is depicted generally as during the putrefaction stage. The perfect putrefaction is a crow's head or the ashes of the Hermes tree.
wow.
Yeah, and then we do, some etymological ties to the word crown. Uh, this website that I just copy and pasted this from, I should have rewrote it into more simpler terms. It just goes into, it's like, feel like I'm like, is this a computer writing it, or does somebody really think any writing things like this makes any fucking sense? But like looking at this, you're
Right.
like, what's going on? Here's some text from the Bible that I thought were interesting to kind of paint a concept of jewelry. You know,
Mm,
a lot of this work is like you have to be open to the conductive materials and how they play a part in your body.
yeah.
You know, if you wear like crystal necklaces or pendants or anything, if you feel an energetical change, it might be subtle. Like you might just feel the weight of it on your body. If you feel the weight of it, and you're like, wow, okay, I feel something. Even if you feel it touching your skin, it feels heavy. That is because it has some sort of energy that's going into your system. And then you take the necklace off, you take the crystal off, and then you feel like you're like, oh, kind of relieved. Like,
Mm,
oh, it's because the energy isn't taken away. And so it could be positive or negative. It really depends. I mean, if you're working with crystals, you should probably work with them and like cleanse them and wash them off and stuff. Like um,
yeah.
some people will work with energy crystals so much that they'll explode. Some stories like it's never happened to me. A lot of people will say that they'll if you're done with the necklace, like the crystal will just leave your body. It's just like, oh, like I lost it. I don't know what the fuck happened to it, man. Like,
Right.
yeah, dude, the crystal was done with you because you weren't cleansing it. It needs to get the
Mm,
fuck away from you. It's like a abusive relationship, man.
yeah.
Like you keep fucking beating your fucking wife. Like she's just like, fuck this asshole. I'm out of here. You
Do a
know?
moonlight ceremony.
Yeah, no, powerful. Please
Yeah.
do it, people. Like seriously. Um, what the fuck, dude? Look at these crowns, dude.
Crazy, dude. Yeah,
Epic,
that's the one I remember you showing in the presentation I watched, and yeah, that one was the most mind blowing to me. That guy just looks like a fucking OG.
dude. Like I want to kick it with this guy so bad.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I love the side things.
Yeah,
This
fucking
also,
dope.
uh, yeah. There's a lot going on. The blue skin,
I love
green
the
skin.
thing he had on his shoulders too, sticking out.
Oh, that's ill, dude. Yeah, mini wings. Yeah, Cambodia, man. Like all those little parts of Asia, so much history. Look at
Crazy.
this. This thing's ugly. my
Yeah.
opinion.
Right.
This one is fucking tight though. This
That's
is the
sick.
Albanian crown, dude. This
Holy
thing
shit.
is heavy. So the Skanderberg's helmet is made of white metal, adorned with a strip dressed in gold. On its top lies the head of a horned goat made of bronze, also dressed in gold, and the bottom part bears a copper strip adorned with a monogram separated by rosettes.
Mm.
So it's a lot of weight, dude.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fucking weight. In Albanian mythology, the physical phenomena, elements, and objects are attributed to supernatural beings. Okay. The deities are generally not persons, but personifications of nature, which is known as animism. The earliest attested cult of the Albanians is the worship of the sun and the moon. In Albanian folk beliefs, Earth is the object of a special cult, and an important role is played by fire, which is considered a living, sacred, or divine element used for rituals, sacrificial offerings, and purification. Sounds like putrefaction, which is an alchemical step that we talked about.
Mm.
Fire worship is associated with the cult of the sun, the cult of the hearth, and the cult of fertility in agriculture and animal husbandry. Bisa is a common practice in Albanian culture consisting of an oath taken by sun, moon, sky, earth, fire, stone, mountain, water, and by snake, which are all considered sacred objects. The cult of the sun and the moon appears in Albanian legends. Can't read the last words. Oh, and folk art.
Yeah.
Yes. So that. Oh shit! There's a link. Sometimes I put links in there. Yeah, pretty cool. What you got on that? What do you anything to say on that, sir?
Oh, that was good.
Ugly, terrible. I don't even know why I have this on here.
God, I'm ashamed to be Swedish after looking at that.
Like, gosh, I could have found a better one. Like this little velvet cap in there.
Yeah, the velvet cap gets me, dude. It's like you might as well not even have a crown, just wear the velvet cap.
Oh, look at this lady just cheesing out, dude. She looks like
Oh
she's
yeah.
on massive amounts of opium.
Oh yeah. She's just in bliss mode.
Oh, I passed all that. Whatever. Cool Portuguese one.
Yeah.
This is like octopus legs. Those reminds me of octopus legs.
It's pretty unique. That one.
Yes. The blue.
It looks like turquoise.
Dude, it's so beautiful. The contrast of colors is like
That's
right up
amazing.
my alley, dude.
Holy shit. Where's this
And
one from?
yeah, Cambodia. No, I think this is India. Honestly,
Okay.
yeah, this is
Yeah, I would say
this is an
India.
Indian
If I
crown.
had to guess.
Yeah, this is an Indian crown. And I brought up these so you see like this is a common crown.
Wow.
Okay, he's just doing spiritual work. He's got his altar, he's got his chants here. So I think I have a slide on these. I can't remember the names of them right now, but the bell right here, he's got a bell,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got this other piece. Damn,
Mexico's pretty slick.
this is
This one though.
oh,
Yeah.
this is India as well. Yeah, this one is like OG. Yeah, I love that. I love this one. It's like, yeah, let's rock it. Let's go. Let's go fucking vibe out in the forest.
Okay.
I thought I had more on these two, but I wanted to get in more of this. Like
Explaining
this is like
all the stuff in front of him. Yeah.
exactly, man. You know, and it's all about resonance. It's all about you know,
Oh yeah.
oming and just tuning. All this is tuning,
Yeah.
but these are heightened tuning tools, if you will.
Mm.
The Kundalini snake here.
It's got the sun behind it.
Dude, that is so cool. And so something about the the crowns that I want to mention, because we're talking about the buildings earlier, is
Hmm.
they resemble the spires or the rotundas of the buildings.
Wow.
And you see that?
Yeah.
Dude, they're emanating buildings. Like even when you look at, we'll go back again to this one. When you look at these buildings in this part of the world,
Yeah.
the
It just looks like
architecture,
the top of a building.
bro, like absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh, it's insane. So you see what they're trying to do. They're emanating these buildings with
Right.
their tools, and the throne plays a part in it as well. I don't have much stuff on that.
On top of the
We get
dome,
yo
crown
straight up,
chakra. Yeah.
straight up. Egypt, OGs, right?
Oh yeah.
Obviously, uh, beautiful.
Shit.
So there's two separations: Lower Egypt and Higher Egypt.
Mhm.
Which red generally determines the root chakra color, and white is the dome chakra. So what happens when you combine the two and you coon the line all the way out, you get the pshent, which because you think about root chakra
Mhm.
and you're at the base of the spine, right? So
Right.
this could be the tendril of your spine coiling up.
Mm.
And over here, you're at the head of the chakra line, and the snake is coming out. It's the base of the snake all the way through to the full
Oh, I see
alchemical
it now.
process.
Wow.
Yeah, full
That's
alchemical
deep.
process. And I actually just had that revelation looking at that. So
Yeah,
I
I
was like
see it
red.
now on the third one. Yeah.
um, to just more ancient pictures of the shining light, the aura behind them,
Oh yeah.
gold. And the more I do research on this, dude, the more I'm finding out that the gold was created and it wasn't all mined. We
Alchemically.
It was alchemically fucking created.
Oh yeah.
And that's been a revelation I've had within the last couple weeks. Looking more into the work of Vincent Bridges.
Mm.
Vincent Bridges wrote the book The Henday Cross, which was like a follow-up, a very modern follow-up of the Fulcanelli Mystery of the Cathedrals book we were talking about.
Okay.
Um, and Vincent Bridges is fucking a powerhouse, dude. We talked earlier about a YouTube playlist that I want to share with you on John D.
Yeah.
Multiple of his videos are in there, dude.
Fuck yeah.
And you'll see what the fuck I'm talking about, dude. That guy's gonna crack your fucking dome in half. He's like, I listen to it, I'm just like, what is happening? Can't compute.
I,
But
I watched
yes,
this 5 hour doc. I forget what it was called. A good friend of mine sent it to me, and it was all about, how these ancient structures, and it ties in with Tartaria too. And they were all just, resonant systems. So I don't know. I'm sure you've already watched it. If not, I'm gonna have to send it to you. But it was phenomenal, and it's literally 5 hours long,
the British guy.
just packed with info. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. No, that guy's fucking awesome. Uh, they're I yes. The flat earth thing just throws me off just a little bit, dude,
Yeah.
because there's so much good. And thing is, I'm probably gonna go to Flattoberfest in fucking South Carolina.
No shit.
Uh, Probably it's on my weekend of my birthday this year in October. So,
Nice.
but I'm not a flat earther, but I was for a little bit,
Yeah.
and I just don't fucking know. But when people preach about it, like have like supremely hardcore, I'm like, you can't even. It's like I don't want to preach about any one thing so hardcore.
I think
Yet
it's
I
such
show
a loaded term, dude. Like once
it
you
is.
join that team, like you got a lot coming at you and a lot to defend right off the bat with people. If it even gets brought up. That's why I just like
Yeah,
saying it's
yeah,
a realm and it is what you make it. Cause once you're dialed into one way of looking at things, you can't accept new information coming in, And that's just kind of
That's
where I come at it
absolutely
with,
facts.
just because I'll talk to anybody of any walk of life, any belief system, because that's what I'm here to do, is just leave the listeners, leave it up to them. Come to your own conclusions. Like, we're all trying to figure out what the fuck's going on here. At the end of the day, that's what we have in common.
Dude, yeah, I'm glad you feel that way because like I didn't think you were a flat earther, but like, I had to be timid just in case. I was like, oh shit, I don't want to step on his fucking toes.
You're
You know
good,
what I
dude.
mean?
I'm not that obsessed with that term, and I just like some of the arguments brought forth by flat earthers. I think they have a lot going for them, but there is question marks on both sides. And I think we can all
Oh
agree
yeah.
that the moon landing was staged. So that's where it all derives from, I feel, is the distrust in actually ever going to outer space, based on what we've been shown.
Dude, I'm fucking 100% with you on that because I'm not I don't suck the fucking NASA cock by any means.
Right, right.
um at all, but I will say that, bring it back to the moon landing stuff. Who was the co-author on the Cross of Hendai with Vincent Bridges was the fucking guy who wrote did the Shining documentary.
Jay
And
Wiedner.
Jay Wiedner, yeah.
Yeah, I just had him on a couple weeks
He
ago.
was Oh, what, dude? I need to listen to. I love that guy.
Fuck yeah, me too.
Fuck, you need to have him back on because he was homies with Vincent Bridges, who he's passed away.
Oh, damn.
Um, but he co-authored that book, Cross of Hendai, which is a Fulcanelli follow-up. And
Damn.
that's how I originally found out about Jay Widener. And then I realized he was a documentarian, made all these other sick ass fucking moon landing docs.
Yeah.
But when he talks about Cross of Hendai, he mainly just is like, I co-authored it, but it was mainly Vincent that, was like the thing. Because once you start to hear Vincent talk, like Jay Widener and him are um, both really intelligent, knowledgeable guys, but Jay Widener was just like on this other fucking trip.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at him, you're kind of like, you are like an alchemist troll, it kind of just
Right.
has this like hunched over kind of look,
Right.
mad respect to him.
Yeah.
But back on the motherfucking, let's end on this. We'll
Yeah.
end
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
this because I love
Let's
it.
get it.
Back on the flat earth tip, the one thing that throws me off on it was no one has been able to explain the constellations good enough in the sense for it to make it not be some sort of moving system. There's too much of the fixed system station. Now, do you know any of the, like, can you enlighten me on any of these models? Because that's what I need to go down those rabbit holes then.
I would say, dude, Eric Dubay is the go-to source on anything, and I've heard Andreas Exertus say this too. Like, even when getting in debates with people, and Andreas isn't even fully bought into flat Earth either, but I love Andreas because he's willing to look into it and look into what the people on the front lines, I guess you could say, of that movement are saying, and like what their research is putting forth, like the arguments they're bringing forth to state why it works in their way of looking at things. And Eric Dubay is just a phenomenal researcher across the board. I I get a lot from his videos, not just on how he sees our cosmology, but various other topics. Like, he just did a great one on World War One and how the Lusitania
Oof,
was
nice.
filled with explosives, and how the newspapers even warned people that the ship had explosives on it, and they were going into a war area where there was potential that it could be attacked. And sure enough, nobody listened, and look what happened. And that's what started
Oh shit.
World War One. But yeah, that was one of his recent videos, and I think people just associate him with flat Earth, so they refuse to watch any of his stuff. But
Oh,
he's got a great list of things beyond flat Earth. But as far as defending that position on viewing um, why things are moving, and
Yeah,
why the
yeah.
stars aren't fixed and all that stuff. I
That's
think,
what I need.
yeah, he's just got bite-sized information, and I love David Weiss to pieces, but no one I have come across is on the level of Eric Dubay. He's also a very spiritual guy, which is what I like about him, and he claims that he has basically how do I phrase this? Through yoga, he has basically broken every chakra open.
Chakra open. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Nice.
to the point, like he's done all these moves that your average Joe just doing yoga could never attain. And I think it just speaks to where he's at spiritually as well.
Oh yeah, that's not a fucking easy feat by any means. Yeah,
No.
for me, the my favorite things about the flat Earth alt models is the Earth battery system. I love that. I
Mm,
think that rings the most truth
right,
and makes the most sense fucking for just any plane of existence. It's like
right.
the how the energy works is like we need to fucking figure that out and have that be on everybody's fucking mind. I mean everybody. Talking soccer moms, dude. I'm
Right.
talking like everybody needs to know about the motherfucking energy because maybe we just be flying everywhere, dude.
Dude,
Like I want to
I just
fucking
look
fly.
at I just look at this place as a spiritual plane, and whether
Yeah,
you want to call that a planet or a plane. I mean, planes in planet, planets
yeah.
a word. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's about how you you know present yourself, how you be, how you conduct yourself just as a good human being. And we get hung up on shit like, what's above us, what's below us, like is the earth hollow, is the earth flat, like we have all these uh infighting within the truth community. We see it lately, but to me, man, like my whole point of starting this podcast was like to bring together not only the truth community but the new agey spiritual community as well, because feel we are more alike than we are different, and we do get hung up on, oh, they're super new agey so they don't know shit, or he's a truther and he's a Trump QAnon guy, and it's like so convoluted, dude. And I'm just like, yo, like we could benefit from both sides of this coin. And I feel
Oh
like
yeah.
if you don't have the spiritual component and you're just in the doom and gloom of conspiracies and geopolitics and all that, like it's a dark place to be, man.
Oof. Yeah, no, I'm so glad that fucking because people are like, oh, don't get you can get caught up in some crazy shit and start feeling some type of way, and I'm like, no, you can, bro. I mean, don't say that to me. I ain't getting caught up in
Mm,
nothing. Like
mm.
I got way too much hope for the fucking you
Likewise,
know
brother.
like that. No, I don't get caught up in none of that shit. But you got to speculate, but we got to come together. I mean, we
Yep.
got to ascend the chessboard, dude. Like apps of fruit, man.
Fuck yeah, brother. Well, thank you so much for coming on, brother. This has been phenomenal. I know we went all over the place tonight, but we always tend to when you come on my show. So it's just how I like it, man.
I
Uh,
love that, dude.
we're very similar natured in that way. I don't know what it is, but we always get off topic, and it always goes somewhere good, though. That's the
Oh
beauty.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it makes for the best conversations.
Fuck yeah.
And man, just that we hit that 30 mark this year, dude. Like that's a big deal, man. Like I
Fuck
think
yeah.
I I can't speak for anyone else, but like us 30-year-olds this year in 2022, we are again all bonded at the fucking seams almost for the most part, dude. Like
Yeah.
people going through and on our spiritual journey where we're at, like some of my best friends that I've been like, I have two really fucking good friends that we're we're all in the same age, we all live different places and shit, but like
Hmm.
I just see them, these fucking beautiful men, dude, like my best fucking friends. Like I'm not ashamed to
Fuck yeah, dude.
fucking I can raise up the brothers, you know what I mean? Like raise up your boys, raise up the fucking squad and my women, dude. I have so
No
many
doubt.
fucking girlfriends, dude. Like, not
Iron sharpens iron,
when,
bro.
dude. And you gotta just fucking lift everybody up, but everybody's going through huge spiritual breaks right now, and it's just like,
Oh yeah.
I think something's coming, bro. I think we're about to pop the fucking code, dude. I really think we're gonna pop this cherry tree, make some juice and some wine, and fucking be drinking it till the early days, my brew.
Fuck yeah, dude. I'm all about it. That's what gives me hope for the people, man. Is like I could have these conversations with so many more people than I could, not that many years ago, just a couple years ago, just within the last 2 years. I mean, it's been night and day, man. And I do feel like a spiritual shift is happening, whether that's the recent events or whatever the fuck. I think it's an internal journey, man, and we're all trying to figure it out. But make sure to take that time out of your day to do that, or go out in nature if you need to get grounded in the way we were talking about earlier. But yeah, dude, go ahead and tell the listeners where they can find you, and anything you want to plug, that event you got coming up this weekend.
Oh, yes. Thank you, mate. Yeah, you guys, if you guys are in California near the Bay Area, I live up in Mendocino, so I'm just a couple hours away. It's not too far of a drive. We're gonna be meeting up with some people, and we're gonna go on a tour. I've hit up somebody who used to do occult tours in San Francisco. They said they moved somewhere else, but then I reached out to them, and then it's like, hey, I'm gonna be in the Bay during that area, so they might stop by because they know way the fuck more than I do about San Francisco. I'm boots on the ground a little bit and a little bits of Google. uh but yeah, so that's August 6th. Dan's gonna be there too, Benjamin Ballson, and I think about 9 people have subscribed on the THC meetup. So
Fuck
that's
yeah.
plenty, man. Like, if we can connect with anybody outside just to grow the fucking family, and I'm with it. And Rising from the Ashes is the podcast where you listen to podcasts, and we're trying to do more YouTube stuff, videos, and like we got some ideas for some documentaries coming up. The mini series project, um, where we look at objects and then just pull up their ancient history, like glass, mirrors, magnets. I want to do furniture, calligraphy, all the things. So we'll refine the process and maybe make videos and shit and stuff. And you guys are great. You're great, Andre. Thank you for chatting, brother. It's always a fantastic time, dude. We're gonna have to do this again.
Fuck yeah, dude. Well, thanks so much, brother. Thank you all for listening out there. I hope you gained something from this conversation, and I hope you all have a beautiful week. I send you all peace and love.